Big Sills! Week 9 NFL. What a great week 9, and what an absolutely sensational game between the Eagles and the Cowboys at Lincoln Financial. It was the best game of the year. Back and forth, drama, rivalries, the crowd, the teams, the quarterbacks were both sensational. I mean, an NFC East battle. And Dak and Jalen, really awesome. Signature win for Jalen Hurts. Signature win. I mean, NFC championship game, the divisional game, not his best performances. You're 8-1, and I'm going to do something that I tell you that always is taboo to me. Hard to believe that in the last 26 games, that football team's won 22 during the regular season. And for 27 weeks, you've had the best record in the NFL. That's shit you see in college. Like at Georgia or Alabama or back in my day with Miami. You don't see that shit in the NFL. Why? Because of the turnover. Teams and rosters and coaches are constantly being plucked off each other's teams. You don't see – the NFL wants parity. They want parity in the league. Okay? They don't want dynasty teams. I mean, you won 22 of 26 regular season ball games. You've held the title of having the best record in the NFL for 27 weeks. It's freaking insane. It's tremendous, man. And like I said, a statement win for Jalen Hurts. You know, it's funny. I was just talking to Tone here about the national narrative. The national narrative is like election deniers. The Dallas Cowboys lost that fucking game on Sunday. And I'm going to get into it why. You lost. You lost that game. You see, in sports, you can't move the yardsticks because we have a scoreboard. We have standings. See, in politics, you can lie all you want to change a narrative, and people will believe it. In sports, you can't change a score. I know some people would like to change that score. If you tune on any of the national shows, you would think the Eagles got beat. It's absolutely. I'm going. You're talking about Dak Prescott's performance and not the performance of Hurts more than his. And you're talking about, hey, they hung with them? What is that? That's not even I would be embarrassed if I was a player and you're telling me, hey, congratulations. Way to hang into the fight. Way to not get knocked out. Hey, congratulations to you. Hey, even in Rocky 1, I love it. Dude lost. He got beat. I mean, it's quite remarkable to listen to these guys talking like the Eagles were just kind of like there for the Cowboys' expense to tell a story about a team that failed in certain situations that were critical situations. I can't believe what I'm listening to. I'm going to get to my takeaways here and my comments here on the game, but I mean, just as an overall sense, hey, the national media totally hates the Philadelphia Eagles for some reason, and that's a great story. That's a great story. Dude, how could you not want to make a movie of Jalen Hurts? If you think Kurt Warner's story about stacking shelves with ketchup bottles and mustard bottles and then making it to the Hall of Fame, I don't know how you don't want to look at this as one of those kind of stories too. That's a motivational story. You should be pimping that thing and pushing that narrative in that story to motivate young players that want to be like Jalen Hurts, that never give up, never surrender. Hey, I will say this. I do have a problem with one thing that I hear. Jalen Hurts getting credit for playing through pain. The guy in Cincinnati, too, is doing it. He did it early. Welcome to the NFL. Welcome to the $50 million a year guy. That's what you're paid to do. The difference between Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts and Deshaun Watson, you see it being played out now in their seasons. They know their teams need them. They're not going to stay in the blue tent. They're going to go out and play for their team. Devin's right. The national media keeps congratulating Dallas on a loss. You would swear that the Cowboys won that game. Completely stupid. Okay? Thing is, Burrow sucked through his injury. Jalen had massive turnovers early on this year. And now he's beating teams left and right. Last 2 weeks, he beat Buffalo and San Francisco. I don't know. I think you're right in the ship in Cincinnati. Let me give you my takeaways. By the way, Tone, the segment at 3:30, and Gary Cobb from Fox 29, as always, will be with us at 4:30. Philly started the game out great, a 3-and-out. I love cannolis. Then they went right down the field and just drove that ball. It was a brilliant drive by Hurts and the Eagles in that first drive, setting the tone. I will say this, though. You do not have the best offensive line in National Football League anymore. You just do not. Your quarterback is getting smashed, and you're at 3-something a game running the ball. Your running game's fairly decent now. Two things have disintegrated on the Eagles: your run game and your pass defense. Not to the extent of the pass defense. Hey, and by the way, I want to back this up. 8-1 is insane great. Your secondary is exactly what the Dallas Cowboys said, and it played out. Bradbury had an awful football game, and Slay not further behind. Sills is my national media. Devin, thank you. Reed Blankenship was terrible. Your entire secondary, in my opinion, was awful. It's clearly the worst, if not one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. How do you go from number one to being the worst? Gardner Johnson can't be that only reason. Hey, Brandon Graham, unbelievable statement game for you and your Eagle career, as you will be getting one of your Eagle Blazers one day going into the Eagle Hall of Fame. That was a statement performance. The running down the sideline to get Dak out of bounds. Fuck! Man! That's a ball player. Shit! God, that's great football. Man! Watching that guy play that down like that to keep, that was the difference in the game. That 2-point conversion, they kick a field goal, they beat you. Great play. Great football play. Great play. Great play. Just a great play. I can't get over it. Reddick is a force. 8-1, still not playing our best ball. Imagine. Agreed. Hassan Reddick is a force. I can't believe how many moments in games he makes situational big plays. I mean it, man. Hey, Micah Parsons was a force. I always knew I hated Dallas, but I finally pinpointed the exact reason. Dallas fans have the greatest victim mentality in all sports. They never lose according to them. Exactly correct. They play the woe is me. Hey, the rest fucked us. Dude, you kidding me? Your situational play calling and your inability in the red zone stopped you from getting numerous. There were times on the spreadsheet you outplayed Philly, but that doesn't matter. That absolutely does not matter. The knee brace is 3-0. Just saying. Great. I don't care. He's hurt. Play, and he does. And nor does he. Dude, I don't care. I don't care he's hurt. Joe Burrow's hurt. All these other guys, I don't care. You're paid to play that position. You don't get kudos for being a tough guy at $50 million. You get criticized for being a worm like Deshaun Watson. That's how I do it. And by the way, you get paid $50 million because they believe and trust that you're going to play through it, unlike Carson Wentz. That's why. You get total respect by me. Okay? By the way, I actually hear the national media. Dak was sensational. But you actually hear this. Well, Dak outplayed Jalen. No. All of you know when you come in here and you try pulling that bullshit with me about that Mahomes game in the Super Bowl, and I say, who won the game? You don't get that here either. Dak played against a shitty secondary, one of the worst in the league. Jalen had the tougher task of moving the chains versus the fourth-ranked pass defense. Who do you think is not going to have over-the-top numbers? Who do you think is not going to have them? Dallas played their best game and lost. How crazy is it? That's right, Prince. I think they did take their best shot. But what happens now when you lose Goddard? If Dallas plays the way they did in Dallas and you don't have Goddard, or you have another significant injury, they beat you. Again, war of attrition is now starting to play its role in the NFL season right now. Dude, hey, remember I said this? And Tone, I know Tone remembers this. Remember I said that guy Ferguson was going to have a massive game? He did. Why? Because you can't cover. Nakobe Dean has no right being on the Eagles' pass defense. He has no right being in there. And for him to have a green dot is obnoxious. Obnoxious. Keep in mind, they put up all those yards and it only accounted for 23 points. Yeah, because their red zone is one of the worst in the National Football League. And the Eagles did this, bend but don't break. Some of the play calling was sketchy by the Eagles. The Cowboys shut them out in the fourth with no points, a couple 3-and-outs, put Dallas right back in the ballgame. The corners were brutal for the Eagles. This Dak love is crazy. Most of Dak's production came after we were 2 scores ahead and played soft as baby poo like we always do. Listen, Dak was great. Dak was sensational. Okay? He was. Hey, by the way, I think DeAndre Swift had a really good football game. I thought he ran tough. I thought he was tough, put the ball on the carpet, was able to scoop it back. I get it. But I thought he played tough in that ball game. I liked the way he played in that game for that offense. Reed Blankenship, man, you got to pick it up, son. That was terrible. The O-line is getting your quarterback hit a lot more. Okay? And I thought the Cowboys did a really nice job stopping the run. They also limited you in the amount of plays. Actually, I thought they stuffed you outside of the fourth down play. The brotherly shove. Other than that, I thought they did a nice job. It was Hurts being a surgeon in there, moving the sticks. Ricks is not good. Okay? Let me get to Jalen here. That's a statement ball game for him. That is the way you carry yourself as a leader, as a quarterback. I was really impressed. I was more impressed. I thought he outplayed Dak. Okay, you're asking me? I thought he outplayed Dak Prescott. Yeah, but Sills, look at the numbers. No. That was more than numbers. No. That was responsibility. He had a responsibility. Responsibility to his teammates. To play well, not turn it over. A huge game in the NFC East, a great game. It was a wonderful performance. My opinion, that's the best I've seen him play ever in a moment where all things didn't look well. You don't have the same defense you did a year ago. You're being leaned on more. Your run game's not the same. You're 8-1, and you're 8-1 because that guy, if you are going to beat Jalen Hurts, you're going to have to take a shotgun out and kill him. That's a Jordan mentality. Those people are so hard to beat. Incredibly difficult to beat. 160 of Dak's yards came when they played prevent D. That's not on the Cowboys. That's on your shitty pass defense, dude. Dude, hey, that game was Dallas. Dallas is for the taking, but they couldn't finish. Thank God, last 3 drives were in the red zone. 0 points. What about Dak in 1st and 5 from the 6? The sacks, penalties, short pass, 4th, all that. Absolutely. You know, when Maniac says that stupid shit right there, here, what's this? This is all year long. Mac Jones, who's terrible. 33 of 54, 316, 3 touchdowns, 91 rating. Kirk Cousins, 364, 4 touchdowns, 31 completions, 125. Sam Howell, last week, 397, 39 of 52, 4 touchdowns, 1. Dak Prescott, 29 completions, 374, 3 touchdowns, 115. Don't make it sound like that was just a one-off thing. All year long, you've been giving up a ton of yards. Do you know you've given up, I believe, I looked at NFL.com, maybe that number's changed, but the Eagles have given up the most passing yards of any team in the league, which means you're the worst. Which means you're the worst. That's not just a Dak game. It's an all season. We're 9 games in. That defense is what it is. By the way, don't ever tell me Sidney Brown's ready to play. He's not. I told you he's not. He's not ready. The resiliency and the guile of the football team. I think last year hardened that team. Do you know how hard it is to do what they're doing? Coming off a Super Bowl loss like that to keep momentum. Okay? Tremendous. Okay? Jalen Hurts is Ruth from Ozark. Hey, man, that was the best I've ever seen him play. Injury, completions, toughness, Cowboys, refuse to lose. I hear everyone saying that Dak Prescott outplayed Jalen Hurts. You're trying to give credit to a dude that lost a ball game Why don't you apply that same bullshit for Jalen against Mahomes when he outplayed Mahomes in the Super Bowl? They won't do that, though. This guy has fought negative publicity and coverage still to this day. It's on display today. Sills, what the hell is wrong with the O-line? I'll get there. Pass protection, not as good. Run game has been totally a non-factor. It's been weeks of this. Now, hang in there. I think they're morphing into wanting to throw the ball. By the way, you can't call that injury that he got rolled up on dual threat. He got hurt in the pocket there. Okay? Now, is that the bone bruise that maybe was on a run earlier in the year? That's where dual threat comes in. See, the Eagles are smart not to tell you where he got that injury on that bone bruise. Because if that's the case, that's what dual threat is. You get an injury running the ball somewhere down or earlier or down the line, and then you get rolled up in the pocket. It's only a matter of time before you break. The human body can only take so much hits. That's what dual threat is. Cosmo, what did I think of Skip Bayless today? I thought that guy was an asshole. He said that the Cowboys are better than the Eagles. Now, he's probably doing that for a response like this from me. And I'm like, you don't get credit for losing. You don't get credit for the old college try. You do that for kids in like bitty football to keep their motor going, wanting them to develop the love of the game. Skip Bayless is talking to people like your children. And I sit there and I was listening to this going, this guy is like, he's a non-grown-up. Grown-ups know the difference between winning and losing. Men know the difference. You don't get credit for coming in second place. Or that's the kind of bullshit society we live in today, where you try to make excuses for people that don't achieve what they need to, so you come up with some narrative for him to make yourself feel better. That's a loser mentality. I thought the Eagles right now, are they playing their best ball? They can't be playing their best ball because their defense is not very good. Josh Sweat was really good. Reddick was good. The two tackles have kind of been non-existent but they're doing a decent job still against the run. Brandon Graham had a sensational ball game. I mean, between the play he made in the Super Bowl and what he did on the goal line, I'll never forget that. Those are plays you'll never forget. You know why? They were in never forgetful games. That's what you call big-time players stepping up. I don't give a shit about a guy playing great against Arizona. I want to see you playing great against Dallas. That's when you have big-time game players and show up and play your ass off. The game was a back and forth. Did I think the Cowboys would win it? Yeah. Did I think the Eagles would? Yeah. That's the kind of game you get in an NFC battle between those two teams every year. That game is always going to come down to the last quarter. By the numbers now. BJ's situational play calling is suspect at best. We're going to get all to that. I think he got lost a couple times, Brian Johnson. I think he got lost out there in the sequencing of plays sometimes. All in all, it wasn't awful. Okay, but in critical situations, I thought he got lost a couple times. Desai had no answers for Dak. I thought actually Mike McCarthy called a fabulous football game. The players of Dallas just couldn't stick it in the end zone. They had every opportunity to win that ball game. Yeah, that's probably fair what Tone just said. Johnson was good in 3 quarters. He said strong. I said probably, I think he was really good in 3 quarters and had a horrible 4th. Yeah, because you know why? The sphincter muscle tightens up in the 4th. And then you get conservative. Then you get a couple 3 and outs, and then you start panicking. What are you chucking it down the field for, dog? Why are you trying to – you stop the clock. You give them another opportunity at a high percentage turnover play when you don't need to. That looked like the Jets a little bit. Dumb. That was dumb sequencing. It was dumb sequencing. Okay? Goddard being lost is massive. Now, if you remember a year ago, how did the offense look after Goddard went out? Didn't it wobble a little? I thought it did. Okay? And your suspect run game as is, just is going to get a little more tougher to run the ball. I turned on that Undisputed crap this morning. All I heard is your buddy Michael Irvin refusing to acknowledge defeat. This is why the Cowboys never win. It's crazy. I text Mike too. I go, Mike, since when does a guy like you who won a national championship and 3 Super Bowls settle for a bronze or a silver medal? Your passion for the Cowboys is admirable, but your passion for denial is undeniable. You got beat, dude. You couldn't put it in the end zone. Your red zone offense going into that game was one of the worst in the NFL, and it played out that way. Shit, at least ESPN was trying to give Hurts as much credit as possible. It was shitty, really covered. I mean, and get this. Can I tell you why Fox does that shit? Because Fox knows they get better television ratings with the Cowboys than the Eagles. That's why they're defending Jim Harbaugh, because they cover Big Ten football. Remember that. Always go back to the money. Fox knows they get great television ratings with the Cowboys. That's why they keep them a focal point, win or lose. It's a strategy. Okay? You'll never get the coverage you deserve, and nor will Jalen Hurts get the coverage he deserves. You're going to have to accept that and just say F it. Okay? It's a television executive decision. David Hill told you that right here, the founder of Fox. What do you think we put guys like that on? They're not going to promote the Eagles over the Cowboys, ever. Even when they lose. It just, you're never going to have it. The Cowboys are always going to be front and center on Fox. And that's it. Crazy. By the numbers. 28-23, obviously. Phenomenal win for the Eagles. A great win heading into the bye 8-1. Chance for Jalen to heal up and maybe some other guys to heal up. By the way, Isaac Seumalo is a felt loss. There are 2 areas on your football team that Howie Roseman did not replace. Your slot safety and your right guard. And it's gargantuanly felt. Dak and Jalen ball on the 6. Oh, with 1st and 5, we need +4. Yeah, D. Dallas had many opportunities, okay? Isaac Seumalo is felt, okay? You got to remember something about an offensive line. Offensive line works in harmony. And if you take one of those pieces out, it's not the same unit. You could take a defensive tackle out, put another guy in, and it's the same unit. Remember, 11 guys can fail on defense. One guy gets behind the backfield, makes a tackle for loss. Every guy could get beat on defense, except one guy. He make a tackle, plays over. On offense, one offensive lineman makes one poor block or one poor step, the quarterback sacked, plays over. It's harder to play O-line and D-line in the NFL. Okay? It is. It's harder. That's why those guys take until their 30s to mature. Jalen Carter, at 20 years old, 21 years old, how many offensive linemen do you see jump into the NFL and all of a sudden they're Trent Williams? Trent Williams is one of the best offensive tackles in the NFL, and he's 36. I mean, same with Lane. The two best tackles in the game today are in their mid-30s. The two best defensive tackles in the NFL today are not in their mid-30s. Goddard soft as tissue. I wouldn't say that. I'm hoping he's just really unlucky. First downs. Cowboys 27, Eagles 20. Third down efficiency, both teams were great. 6 of 15 for the Cowboys, 7 of 14 for the Eagles. You're 50% on third down? Shit. Tough to defend. Total yards. Dallas did a spectacular job against the Philadelphia Eagles. You held that Eagle offense and that Eagle team under 300 yards in total offense. Spectacular. Cowboys 406. Basically, we're just sensational. Total plays. Exactly how you beat Philly. 70 to 59. They ran 11 more plays. Do you understand what that means, 11 more plays? You run probably 10 plays a quarter. Okay? They had almost like another quarter to try to beat them. Total drives, 10-9. Dallas wins almost all of this. 333 passing to 183. Again, total yards is different than the individual statistics because of the sacks. They minus them. Rushing, 109 for the Eagles, 73 for the Cowboys. They didn't have to really run them. By the way, I think Dallas really abandoned it. They didn't really try. They started running the ball better in the second half, actually. Rushing attempts, 33. Actually ran the ball more in this ball game and in the first half of this game than they had in the previous 3. Cowboys had 21. Penalties, man. I heard the Cowboy guys crying today about penalties and all the fans about how they got jobbed and shit. Well, the Eagles were actually penalized more. 10 penalties for almost 100 yards. You clean that up, you blow that Cowboy team out. You gave the Cowboys 100 yards and penalties? Shit. And the Cowboy guy would make you feel like the Eagles had no penalties called against them. Cowboys had 10 for 83. Still one of the highest penalized teams in the NFL. Time of possession right there around 30 apiece. And as I said, total plays, 70 to 59. That's what kept that game the way it was and how close it was. Individual now. Dak was sensational. 29 to 44, 374, 3 touchdowns, 115 quarterback rating. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he moved around more. He needs to move. For the Cowboys to be a true contender, he needs to move around more. And I mean, not horizontally. He needs to vertically get up the field. Because they're running it. Can I tell you what they missed? Boy, I'll tell you something. Did they miss Ezekiel Elliott? They miss Ezekiel Elliott. You know, we bitch about the Eagles not having a red zone back. The Cowboys don't have a red zone offense. And you know why you can't throw jump balls? Because CeeDee Lamb's not a physical guy. As good as he was yesterday, he's still not a physical guy. That Michael Gallup guy, holy shit. You need to make sure you put your hand before every game in a bucket of Elmer's glue or something. You drop more footballs than Quez Watkins. Who you got? I'll get to all that here, Hawk. I'll get to that. Jalen Hurts, 17 of 23, 207, 2 touchdowns and a 130 rating. I thought he completely outplayed Dak Prescott in that game on Sunday. And there are people who are going to go like this. What are you talking about? The other guy had almost 170 yards more. So? How many times did Jalen move the chains on third down when it was important? or scoring or getting the ball to his big play wideout. How about that throw to Goddard that Goddard caught? What a great catch. But it was a great throw, outstanding catch as he threw it to the sideline. I'll tell you something, man. His accuracy is getting better and better and better. I don't know if he's going to hold up. That'll be my only problem with Jalen Hurts, and it always has been. I don't know if he holds up. Okay? Some of you go like this, and I mentioned it already. Silsey got hurt in the pocket. Yeah, but he also got that injury potentially outside the pocket. And you start combining that. Those are dual threat injuries. That's what I'm talking about. Will he survive? This is a weekly thing that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay? We're at the halfway. We had another half of a season ago. Hurts dropped an absolute dime to Smitty for the TD. His accuracy is just getting better and better. Eagles were down 3 at the half. Hurts comes out. Haven't they been down 3 at the half the last 3 games? And lights the Cowboys up for 2 TDs in third quarter. He just responds when the team needs him most. I thought Dak responded too. They were down and he came back. Difference was Jalen puts it in the end zone. Dak couldn't. Okay? Clearly the difference. And that's the difference in the two teams. There's a will. I'm going to say one more time. I think last year's football team prepped this year's football team. And when things are down, you're never out. When Dallas is down, they believe they're out. That's the difference between a championship football team and a football team that still doesn't believe. The Cowboys don't believe. The Eagles believe. Like I said, you're not beating Philly. You have to kill them. You have to drive a silver stake into their heart to make sure they're dead and cut the head off. It's the only way you're beating them. The only way. Only way. Okay? I think there's 3 teams in the NFL that are the best. We're going to get to those in a minute here. DeAndre Swift, 18 carries, 43 yards. Hurts had 10 carries for 36. And a touchdown. So he accounted for 3 TDs too. Thought he was great. I really did. I thought he outplayed Dak Prescott. My God almighty, though, if you listen to the national guys, they're hanging on fool's gold numbers. Well, he outplayed Jalen. No. I don't know why the most important number in a game when you're talking about players is winning. And at the end of the day, who had the tougher task? Who was going against the better coordinator, the better secondary? Had to be relied on. Running game wasn't quite as good as it's been like a year ago. Hurts had the tougher task of moving his team than Dak did. You see those wide open holes in the middle of the secondary? Cornerbacks playing not very good. Safeties looking like shit. For the Eagles, Dak was playing pitch and catch. And remember I said this? That guy Ferguson's going to have a huge game. And he did. Why? Because you don't have the talent to cover him. Jake Ferguson, 7 catches, almost 100 yards and a touchdown. That was his greatest game as an NFL football player. Do you understand that? I think he had 25 catches going into that game. He had 7. Has to be a career ball game for him. You turn 2 tight ends in 2 weeks that are nobodies into stars because you can't cover. Change my name, Jalen, all damn day. Plays like Iverson. So you admit your schedule is easy. Niners had a bye week, still lost. I like that, LJ. Yeah, because they lost place now in the NFC playoff race. AJ, 7 catches, 66 and a touchdown. Devontae Smith, 3 and 51. Okay? Think about that. The Cowboys threw their best at them. Parsons had a sack and a half. You should see what people are telling me also on the internet. Lying and saying that Michael Parsons had 6 sacks in 7 games against the Eagles. And I was like this. That guy had a half a sack in 8 games. That was the best. And did you see what they did? They didn't line him up always on Lane. Lane gave a sack up, by the way. He gave a sack up. Okay. They moved Parsons all around. Nose, guard, tackles, Lane. He beat Mulata's ass. Mulata couldn't handle him. Mulata could not handle Michael Parsons yesterday. He got killed. He still struggles on that second move, getting his feet back. That's okay. That's a player that's still learning the position. Okay? I thought in the second half, Mulata played a lot better. But in the first half, Parsons was getting around a horn on him. I thought Josh Sweat showed up big. Brandon Graham, sack and a half. Outstanding statement game for him. This is what you do when you look at something like this and you look pretty much down the line. Dallas had every opportunity to win. You don't do this. The Eagles were lucky. You say that to a 5-4 team or Niners team, 5-3. You were lucky. You don't say that to an 8-1 team or a football team that's won 22 of 26 games. That's not luck. That's making your luck. There's a difference. You can't be lucky in 26 ball games to win 22 of them and keep doing this. Well, the Eagles were lucky to win. That's not luck. Okay? That's not luck. Eric, I get it. I look, hey, Eric, I think Jordan Mailata is one of the top offensive tackles, if not one of the top left offensive tackles in the NFL, and I agree. He's going to continue to get better. But he got killed in the first half. I thought he settled down better in the second half. Okay? Really a great statement ball game. A really great statement ball game. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think the NFC East is wrapped up now? It looks like a lot of the media and teams are ready for this next 5-game stretch we're about to have. They're praying we lose those games. Buffalo doesn't look like the team I thought it was going to be this year. Stroud was great. We'll talk all about that. I promise you, Dirty D. You guys think you have the NFC East wrapped up now? You think you've wrapped the East up? By the way, with that defense, you have nothing wrapped up. You're off to a sensational start, and you may need it. And it's not because other teams are better. You start plucking players off your roster, poor play at corner, losing Goddard. And a game like that, let me say this to you. I think this is the greatest thing the greatest thing in the schedule that ever happened for the Philadelphia Eagles was that you had a bye, okay, with a rivalry game like that after this game. You had a bye. Dallas has got to pick up and lick their wounds mentally and physically and get on the road against the Giants and the Panthers. You watch that Giant team, even with Daniel Jones being out and all that other shit. You watch them play them hard. You watch them play them tough. You watch. Because Dallas was in a dogfight. Hurts over 70% completion percentage in the last three when trailing this year. He has 13 touchdowns and no picks, 118 rating. He's clutch, loving his progressions and the progress. Correct. Those are all things you want to see with a quarterback. Again, will he last? Okay? You know, I can't help but think it's a scheme for defense. Bradbury, an all-pro last year, Slay rated. No, you played shitty quarterbacks last year and shitty coordinators. And no, and surely they didn't regress this much. It's the schedule. You're actually right now, in my opinion, if you being at 8-1 right now, if this football team was playing last year, this football team would be undefeated. They played last year. I think it's remarkable you're 8-1. I think it's remarkable. It's remarkable. Off a Super Bowl loss, quarterback's banged up, your defense is not as good. You're totally not as good. I thought, you know what? It's actually regressing a little. Your defense is regressing. And not your run defense. That's been a pleasant surprise. But your pass defense regressing. Okay? We're going to find out if it's going to be a factor when you play Mahomes out of the bye. What he does with Kelsey. You think you have anybody on that football team that can cover Kelsey and Mahomes? You haven't for the last two games. That's going to be a test. And if they can win it. The NFC East, I feel, is locked up for us. The NFC and the number one seed is far from gotten. You really feel that comfortable that you are and have wrapped up the NFC East? I'm not so sure yet. I think you got to get out of this slate of games here. You get out of this slate of games here, in my opinion, with only one loss. You've wrapped it up, and in my opinion, you've wrapped up home field. Because the tail end of the last 5 games, I don't know. The famous Jonathan Gannon defense, Howie keeping everything the same. That's exactly what happened. Hone doesn't think it's locked up either. That's totally what's happened here. Jonathan Gannon had the top defense in the NFL last year playing the shittiest teams. The Psy has got a mess. And still, situationally, did I actually hear people giving him shit and wanting to fire a coach who's 8-1? Are you high? Sean Desai is doing a remarkable job with what's going on. They're not that good. We played zone last year, and this year we're playing man defense and rookies at key positions. No, we're playing more man. We're playing more press than we did before because that's what Desai wants to do. I told you, you don't have press corners. When are you going to understand? This is exactly what the Dallas Cowboys and my source told me when it came to your guys. They said, you're slow. Your secondary is slow. And it was on display the entire game. Why in the world do you put another guy? Look what you're doing. You got a slow secondary, and then you drop a linebacker in there who can't cover. What is that? Okay? That defense is going to keep every single football team in games with you. And the only reason you're winning is because of your offense and Jalen Hurts. It's the only reason. And there were even times in that game in the fourth quarter, your coaching almost cost you the game. I told you it was going to come down to situationals. Brian Johnson was horseshit in the fourth quarter. I mean, Dallas's inability to get it in, my opinion, I think that's to do with Sean Desai and also the players being accountable out there. It was a bend but don't break. They got home. Would they get 5 sacks? I don't know. Are you watching your secondary? And they're still winning. That's coaching. You want to fire Sean Desai when you're 8-1. Well, look at our ranking and look at your players. You spent no money in your secondary except a corner for 2 old guys. Then you tried to change up the system a little bit, and you think you got pressed corners? Who told you that? 14 yards in the fourth quarter is unacceptable. Dallas is good too, dude. Anton, Dallas is good too. And I said it to you. Isaac Seumalo is a felt loss. He is a felt loss. There is no question. What's the one missing denominator? You could say all you want. Many people like what DeAndre Swift did and what he's doing. What's the other thing? You don't have Seumalo in there. It's not just Miles Sanders. Hey, Tone, can I get that one super chat? I just missed it, please. Thank you. Slay is decent. We need Bradbury, Roby back. We need Roby back. Roby? Really? Another streetwalker. How many guys are you going to get off the unemployment line to play in your secondary and think just because Howie found them, you're going to strike gold 2 years in a row? You haven't. By the way, Kevin Byard, wow, kid, yeah, okay. That was terrible. Dallas was actually picking on you. I don't think there was a guy in the secondary. Sidney Brown, and let me tell you something about Sidney Brown. I like the kid. I think the kid's going to be a ball player. Stop putting him out there. He's a liability. But then again, you don't have anyone else. You don't have anyone else. The kid Ricks is not good. Okay? Now, let's pull this thing back here. You're 8-1, and I think your coaching on defense did a good job. You don't have the play. You missed TJ Edwards. You actually missed Kaiser White. 8-1. Does it mean? No, nothing. No, because 8-1 means that you're the lead dog for home field advantage. At some point, we need to understand we can't pay stars everywhere. Our offense costs a lot. Thank God for the defensive drafts we've hit on. Okay. True. That defense is a liability. It's a liability. Okay. But here's the thing. I think your defense being a liability and the way your offense plays, the rest of the league, they haven't caught up with them. You know, the Eagles may be backed up 3 steps. The rest of the league's backed up, especially the rest of the NFC. I think they've backed up 10 steps. Number one is talked about the absence of Denard Wilson. Here. I'll once again, I think the Eagles have backed up defensively because you're terrible. I mean, look at, like I said, look at the quarterbacks. And these guys aren't anybody except maybe Dak and Cousins. Mac Jones, 316. Kirk Cousins, 364. Sam Howell, 397. So let me get this right. In the last 2 weeks, your pass defense has given up, in theory, 774 passing yards and 7 touchdowns and 1 pick. Think that's sustainable too? quite a number. You followed up with Dak putting up another great performance. Dallas Dallas is horrible at situational football. I think they needed Derrick Henry. That game was lost because of Jerry Jones' inability to make a move at the trading deadline. They had every chance to win it. They didn't have the personnel to do it and finish it off. Who was their red zone back? Tony Pollard's not a red zone back. I mean, Dak is not a red zone type running back like Jalen is. They had no one to give the ball to. The problem with the Cowboys right now is getting the ball in the end zone. It's not getting down to the goal line. They were doing that pretty regularly against that defense yesterday. They just couldn't stick it in. My opinion, I blame Jerry Jones on that loss. If you're going to be on the Cowboys side and your inability to go out and try to get somebody or make a move for Dalvin Cook or somebody because you needed a back. You needed a guy to get the ball in the end zone, and you couldn't do it. You had a 2-point conversion you couldn't get in. You were down inside. You were at the goal line. Your guy was tackled prior to the goal line. You needed to get a guy in it. You didn't want to do it. Well, you lost. Howie's making moves like that. At least, I'll tell you this. Howie making a move for the kid from Tennessee. Kudos to you, dude. At least he's trying to get the team better. Jerry Jones thinks right now he's got a good enough team because he hung with you. When he doesn't realize that the Eagles still have not played to their max. And I don't know you ever will. You're not going to play to your max. You're never going to have a game where both sides play the ball well. Because you know why? You don't have the personnel in your secondary. You're never going to have a really complete ball game like you did a year ago. Your corners are not playing well. And they have not played well. They didn't play well in the Super Bowl. They didn't play well from week 8 on last year. Okay? And it hasn't gotten better. So to sit here and say 9 games in that this is going to get better in the secondary is fool's gold and crazy thinking. So you got to hope your pass rush continues to improve, and I think that's Gamma coming along. I think Sweat was really good. Reddick is getting hotter and hotter and hotter. I think he's got 7 sacks in the last 5 games. Lions have the easiest schedule. Will get number 1 seed. Could be. Here's the one thing, though. I compared the Lions to the Dolphins. You really think the Lions believe that they're a championship quality team? What would make you think that? They haven't been since 1957. How many playoff games have they won since 1957? 1? Come on, man. That team doesn't know who they are yet. They're trying to figure it out. Okay? They're trying to figure it out. I mean, make no mistake. Make no mistake. That game was a signature win for that Eagle team. And the Cowboys, again, you know what they're going to do all week? By Wednesday, you will swear. By Wednesday, you will swear that the Cowboys won the game. Because what they're going to do is they're going to justify their loss like they did against San Francisco and Arizona. And you know what the Eagles are doing? The Eagles are going to get healthier. The Eagles are going to work on their health. The Eagles are going to work on their The Eagles are now in championship push mode. You know what I would make a shirt up if I was Jason Kelce and those guys? Unfinished business. Those guys, you know, when that game ended, I thought about a theme, unfinished business, for that Eagle team. It just seems they're playing with unfinished business. There's like a workman's mentality, unfinished business. I love that mentality. Hassan Reddick is absolutely problem sometimes. He over pursues, but if you're not paying attention, he will change the game. He does, and I think you can run at him, and they did. But he just makes situational big plays. I'll take a couple overruns. I'll take a couple missed tackles. That guy's a force in the rush. He is a pass rushing monster. I'm telling you, man, that guy gets freaking home. He totally gets home. He's a force. Okay? Yeah, man, the Cowboys this week are going to be, and get this, they're going to get themselves all back up again because they're going to beat the Giants this weekend. And they're going to feel good about themselves because they got the shitty Panthers on the other side of that. And then you know what's going to happen? Hypothetically, I'm not saying you will because I think you can beat Kansas City in Kansas City. You watch Eagles lose that game, Cowboy fans would be like, oh, see? We got hosed by the refs. And you're like, oh, my God. That's okay, though. Just suck it up. Just suck it up. Don't worry. The Cowboy guy be Cowboy guy. Cowboy guy is the worst loser because you know what he is? Even if you beat him, he doesn't realize that they're beat. He just lies to himself. Those are people that lie to themselves. Hey, we didn't lose. You didn't lose. Jesus Christ, you must be a politician. Politicians don't believe they lose. Athletes know when they lose and win. That was so good, man. That whole thing, the environment, the game, the rivalry, the pushing, the toughness, back and forth. Hey, by the way, don't be upset because Dak played great. There were two quarterbacks that played like lights out yesterday. What did you think they were going to do? That was a great football game. A great game. What should they work on in the break? By the way, the run game. The run game is a problem. Okay? Your pass defense, those are two areas. All right. Guys, please hit the like button. Happy wing givings from Hooters here. I want to tell you, we really appreciate our great friends during the month of November and what they've done each and every single day. There's going to be a special at any one of the locations, 7 locations in the Northeast area. All you have to do is go into any one of them, northeasthooters.com. That's northeasthooters.com from Rhode Island all the way down to King of Prussia. The iconic Hooter girls are there to serve you, man, for you to have yourself a great time. All kinds of special, ice cold Coors Lights, $2.99, 25 cents goes to a local charity. The Hooter calendars are out. $100 in coupons are inside the calendars. Northeasthooters.com. Lunch specials, Monday through Friday, 11:30 to 3 p.m. Boneless wings, happy hour, Monday through Friday. That's 4 to 6, 6 items, $6. Wing Wednesdays, 1983, the year the place was founded. We really appreciate you guys going in. Northeasthooters.com. That's northeasthooters.com. Do me a favor, guys. Anytime you walk into any one of the locations, tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio, or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
My name is Dr. Bruce Grossinger, and I'm the medical director of Philadelphia PRP and Stem Cell Institute. I'm reaching out to those who suffer from spine and joint pain. We use treatment methods that require no surgery, no scalpel, no drugs.
Running, walking, or whatever your desires are, Dr. Grossinger is where you need to come.
You can benefit from the same PRP and stem cell treatment as Wilbert Montgomery. Call us now at 610-222-5675.
We're here to show you a better way to spend your state income taxes and get the money to where it's needed to most, to the thousands of qualified kids.
What we like about Blocks is they really know where the need is.
This program ensures that their dollars come 100% into these kids for their tuition assistance.
If you are able, Blocks makes the EITC piece go very quickly and very smoothly.
Turn your PA state tax liability into need-based scholarships and receive a 90% tax credit.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales Hour number 2, we will have on the segment our good friend Tone at 3:30 Eastern. Gary Cobb from Fox 29 will be with us at 4:30. And I believe tomorrow we're getting Seth Joyner on. So we'll talk to Seth Joyner on Tuesday. How about this? I want to show you how, real quick, about Howie running up and down the sidelines there, letting everybody see him out there. He really likes that camera light, doesn't he? He's got to be the only general manager that does laps around Lincoln Financial. I was like, holy shit, dude. There's Howie. Look at him. I had to get my binoculars. There he was running down the sidelines. My team, I did this. I built this. I built this. Yeah. Hey. Here's our winners. Congratulations to Kenneth from Arizona and Carlos from Tennessee. You are our winners. Tomorrow we will start the process up again for our Hooters gift certificates. All you have to do is give us your information. Email us, dansileo@gmail.com. Tone will throw out a word starting on Tuesday throughout the 4 hours. You identify it, you email us, and on a football Monday, we could be barking your name like Kenneth and Carlos. You see your boy running up and down the sidelines? There's Howie. He likes it, doesn't he, man? He got a little Jerry Jones in him. Little Jerry, we should start calling Howie. Little Jerry. No, I can't call him Little Jerry because this guy actually, makes good moves. So, there's little Howie down there running around. Thought it was kind of funny seeing him running around out there. It's my team. I built this. All right. But I want to show you what the job that he's done and how you can't just take that for granted on what he's done. Hey, what's the record right now for New England? What's the record for New England right now? Are they 2-7 or 2-5? 2-5? They're 2-7. It's kind of crazy that Hurts pulled a Mahomes on Dak and had worse stats, but won the game. Hey, DC, I thought he outplayed him. I thought Jalen outplayed Dak. I don't care about those stats that Dak threw up. But 2-7. Okay. Isn't it a coincidence, you think, that Nick Caserio was hired away from New England and he's now down in Houston? And they're 4-4. Parsons had his surfboard when he jumped on the brotherly shove that plays unstoppable. Death row, he was a force, though, in that game. You think there's a coincidence that Nick Caserio is no longer in New England and there's no longer talent in New England and he's down in Houston and they're getting better? That kid Stroud's insane great. Okay? I mean, they make the right hire at head coach. They're making the right moves when it comes to the draft. That guy used to be up with Scott Pioli and all them dudes up in New England. It was Scott Pioli, it was Nick Caserio, and it was Belichick that were picking all the talent and finding all the free agents and making all the trades. But those guys aren't there anymore. His number one brain thrust guy actually used to be Pioli. He retired. By the way, that's Bill Parcells' nephew. And Caserio is now down in Houston, and Houston's getting better. The Houston Texans are getting better. And the Patriots are now 2-7. Shows you when you have a good personnel department, and all of a sudden when you start getting things plucked out from it, that's the importance of having good people in the waiting wings that can help you pick your talent. And I think that that's what Howie learned from the former general manager of the Spurs. Not only are you to develop your roster, but you got to develop your front office. You got to elevate from within. That's how you keep it intact. That's how you keep growing as a team, by not constantly changing direction or ideology and what kind of players you're looking for. It's pretty smart. It's pretty smart how they do it. Jalen Hurts is on pace right now for 576, 397 completions, 44-33, 28 touchdowns, 15 picks, and a 97 quarterback rating. Some of you are going to go like this. Boy, those 15 interceptions are high. No, they're not. That's normal for a guy who throws the ball 600 times. Don't you get that? That's normal. It's normal. Now, he'll probably put that total up a little higher when it comes to touchdowns. So if you're 30, you got 32 touchdowns and 15 picks. You got 4,500 yards passing. You're 14-3. You got a problem with that? That's Josh Allen. What's your problem? That's Joe Burrow. You're missing it. Well, those are high picks. Well, because guys throw the ball. Patrick Mahomes is going to have double-digit interceptions this year. Nobody rips him. You look at Jalen Hurts. He has 15 picks. They're going to call him a turnover machine. I'm not, because he's throwing the ball more. Okay? Common sense. It's called the evolution of the Eagle passing game. Now, I will say this. There's two. Hey, let me do the, and I did a lot of the good in the first hour. Here, let me do the good. Again, I did most of them on my takeaways, but the good, I thought the situational play calling on the coaches, I thought the side was as good as he could be because of the massive holes you had. They couldn't defend the kid Ferguson or CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb had a monster game. 191 yards, 11 catches. I thought the tight end was more of a factor, though. You ask me. Timely drops by Cowboy receivers. Another area Jerry Jones didn't improve the team on. Jerry Jones did not help his team yesterday. They need a red zone back, and they need another wideout. The tight end looks like he's going to be a player. Dude, the two guys on that team, they didn't have – Tony Pollard was almost a non-factor. I think where the Eagles are going to get better on defense is in their pass rush. They're going to be stable at their linebacker. Now, you want to do something stupid and set that group back? Keep playing Dean. I told you from week one. By the way, I want to make something very clear here about Nakobe Dean. I have no personal animosity, and I'm not trying to make a take right. I'm telling you, and I'm repeating you what I said, that is not capable of doing what they're asking him to do because he hasn't been prepared physically or mentally for the challenge that was at hand. And it's played completely out. Okay? You are not going to put a kid in the middle of a football field on defense to go against Dak Prescott in an NFC game and think he's not going to be the target of attention. He's just not experienced enough. I don't even know if he's good. Okay? I don't know if he's good. He has no right being on that field and messing with two things, the communication and the cohesiveness of that unit on what you're trying to build. You can't build something when you're constantly taking one of the pieces away from what you're trying to accomplish. You're stunting the growth of those two linebackers, Morrow and Cunningham. They're good enough and they can stabilize the position. Why are you consistently, again, that's a fucked up front office move by Howie again. No coach in his right mind wants to mess with communication or cohesiveness, and yet they do. And the last 2 weeks, you've been eaten alive. When you play a team that's got a good red zone offense, you're losing a game like what you played on Sunday. A team that knows how to get the ball in the end zone, the Chiefs, you'll lose that game. Because you have. Because you have. You'll lose a game like that. Do you understand? The closer you get to the playoffs and every level you get into the playoffs, you're playing teams that have been playing really good ball, takeaway, giveaway. They know how to get into the end zone on red zone. They got a superstar quarterback usually and a superstar play calling head coach, what have you. You don't play dogs in the playoffs. You're not going to see a Dallas team in the NFC title game that can't stick it in the end zone. San Francisco is going to be better when they get all their pieces back. Okay? You choked them out. Yeah, no, well, I wouldn't say you choked them out, but you kicked them out. You kicked them out. You kicked them out of Lincoln Financial. Okay? Your pass rush will probably improve the defense. What you're going to have to get home. Now, does that mean pressure? Hey, you're going to have to figure out a way to protect your corners. And I don't know where you're going to get that. The only way you're going to get help from that is your pass rush. And if I were them, I would play zone the entire time, the rest of the way out. You cannot play press. They're terrible at it. I told you this is why Slay was fired in Detroit. Watch him play press coverage. Bradbury's even worse right now. And see, you're paying $15 million almost a piece for two center fielders. And everyone knows it. They're not complete corners. Bradbury was terrible. Slay was kind of. Got to blitz more? Hey, remember something when you blitz more. If you're going to blitz more, you got to play that zone. If you're going to blitz more. Who are you going to blitz with? Dean did get home on a blitz. Could that be a role for him? Maybe. Could that be a role for Nakobe Dean? Possibly. Maybe design some rush plays for him. Okay? That could be a role. Remember, that's what they did with Hugh Douglas. Hugh wanted nothing to do with the run. So what did Jim Johnson do? He created a defense that rushed the passer, turned him into a superstar. Matt goes, Dean's still a puppy. Well, then why play him? You don't play. Hey, you don't put a puppy in a dogfight. Desai will have a great plan with 2 weeks to prep. He can have all the game plans he wants. He doesn't have the talent. As a New England fan, Patricia deserves apology. He was a scapegoat for Crap Jones. Correct. They looked better last year with Matt Patricia as the OC. Isn't that crazy? Matt Patricia and the Patriots look better last year than they do right now. That's crazy. Dean is hurt again. Another foot injury. Is that true? Is he hurt again, really? Don't say that. Now Sills is trashing Dean. Trashing Dean? No, I'm not trashing Dean. I'm giving kudos to Cunningham and Morrow. Dean doesn't deserve to play. You're hurting those men. Dean's hurt again. You're right. I'm done with that, dude. Guy's made of Elmer's glue and paper mache. He's like a model plane. Honest to God, everything they said about him coming out of the draft is so true. Undersized. Oh, yeah. What you guys tell me? He's a molecular engineer. What does that do? And he played at Georgia. So? Guys, don't let me talk shit on the kid because I don't even know if he's good yet. I just know you're putting – take it from a guy that an organization puts you in a position that you don't know what you're doing and you have no idea how to play the technique yet. You think covering NFL tight ends – the last 2 weeks, the 2 tight ends have crushed him and have put massive holes in the middle. And get this, that's what that secondary looks so bad. Those linebackers can't cover and the safeties can't. The corners are on an island. Last year, the corners were not on an island. And remember what I said about the volume of pass rushing. The volume of pass rushing is down this year compared to where you were a year ago. You were on a historic pass rushing volume of plays that helped your secondary massively last year. That volume was almost cut in half. QB hits, sacks. You could still be ranked 4th in sacks in the NFL and still have your volume cut in half because your 70 sack total last year was only second to the Bears of 85. You were never going to duplicate that. You were never going to duplicate it. I actually saw people on the internet saying that Sean Desai should be fired. I was like, are you high? He's your best coordinator. And he got a penalty for holding the tight end. And he almost let Turpin run the kickoff back. Listen here. I don't want to – look, they force-fed him. They need to do a better job of preparing him this coming offseason if they want him to be the Mike linebacker. And by the way, guy needs to put a couple bricks in his pocket too. He's a schwimp in there. Hurt again? Jesus, criminy. Every time this guy gets any kind of volume of plays, he's hurt. That's why you play him at Will or Sam, not Mike. There's too much traffic of big dudes in there. When you play a guy that's undersized inside like that, and you got 3 guys that you have to take on that are 345 pounds, and you're a little guy, the chances of you surviving are not going to be, you're not Sam. You know, people go like this, well, Sam Mills did. He's not Sam Mills. Sam Mills was a physical football player that played 17 years. This guy can't play 17 minutes. Dean didn't play the second half either. Jesus. And guess what? I thought the linebacker play looked a little better in the second half, actually. When he's not on the field, leave those linebackers alone. By the way, you better hope the Christian Ellis kid, I don't want to see that guy either. You don't have a lot of depth at that position. You need to think about that in this off week here. Maybe there's a kid out there walking around in the street. You need some depth at that position because these guys are going to play a lot of football down the stretch run here. They're stable. Like I said, here's how you look at the good. The pass rush, I think, is going to continue to evolve. Sweat was good. Reddick, the last 5 games, has been great when it comes to rushing the passer. Brandon Graham had a wonderful game in a big moment. He didn't have just like a moment in that game. Dude, the sacks were great. The play at the goal line was exceptional. That's an exceptional, memorable play. Okay? That's an exceptional play. We got a special guest coming up here now, man. I think he's a pimp. I don't know. Hey, this could be the pimp of Philly. I don't know here, man. But the segment is now with my man, Tone. He joins us now here. And here he is. Look at this, man. I heard that cheerleading today, man. I heard it.
What can I say? What can I say, sir? First and foremost, my friend Sileo. Top of the morning to you, well, top of the afternoon. Well, it doesn't really matter. But the bottom line is the Philadelphia Eagles are once again winners. 8-1 on the NFL season. They take a pretty stern handle on the NFC East. Things aren't locked up yet, but they take a pretty nice lead, a 2.5 game lead, I might say. But man, oh man, how about them Cowboys? How about them?
I can't get over the rhetoric that's going on, Tone, around the country that, I mean, you would think they would be talking about Hurts playing and the way that they gutted up and won that ball game. But no, man, it's all about how the Cowboys hung in there.
Listen, I'll give credit where credit is due, okay? Because we're going to talk about the Eagles for the most part of this segment. But I'll give credit where credit is due. Dak Prescott, he came in and tried to play a hell of a game. He did his absolute best. You know what I mean? 29 for 44, 374 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. We know the stats. We know how it went down. CeeDee Lamb did the best he could. But the sad reality is when you need Dak Prescott to be franchised, when you need him to validate that $45 million contract, what does he do? He takes a delay of game. He takes a sack. They get false starts. He throws incomplete passes. He throws it to his number 3 target instead of throwing it to CeeDee Lamb or his tight end who's been balling out. You see the boneheaded moments. You see my guy Jalen Hurts, right? Here's the magical thing about my guy Jalen Hurts. He always understands the assignment. And that's the bottom line. That's the baseline in football. That's the baseline in life. Always understand what's expected of you. Always understand what's required. And that's the difference between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. Jalen Hurts, he didn't have gargantuan numbers, but I'll put it to you like this. It had gargantuan impact. 17 to 23, completing 76% of his passes. 2 passing touchdowns, right? 207 passing yards. 36 rushing yards, a rushing TD, so 3 total TDs on the day. If you ask me, I think my guy had the more efficient, the more impactful game. Came out of the second half, came out of the half with a bum knee and carved them up for 2 touchdowns, a beautiful dime to Devontae Smith, and then he hit A.J. Brown with the ball in the flat, and A.J. Brown did A.J. Brown things, man. We knew this game was going to be physical. We knew it was going to be tough. It's a divisional matchup, but we know how well the Dallas Cowboys play us. In particular, we know how well Dak Prescott plays the Philadelphia Eagles. We knew it was going to be tough. But what did I tell you last week? This is going to be the first game that we're going to see the Philadelphia Eagles not turn the ball over. Well, technically it's the second, but I told you in this game, they're not going to turn the ball over. Jalen Hurts won't turn it over. No one else will. No one else will. He won't throw an interception. Now, we saw
That
some
ball
fumbles
hit
here
the
and there.
carpet a few times, though.
We saw it. Hey, listen. If a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, did it happen?
Oh, nope.
Did it happen? So, hey, listen. The ball hit the carpet a couple of times, but they managed to find life and they held onto that ball because, listen, that game was won and lost. That game was won and lost in a matter of 12 inches, man. It's a game of inches, and I love it. It's beautiful. I'll tell you that much.
Here's what I've always been trying to say to people since the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts did not outplay Mahomes in that game. He outstatted him.
Yeah.
But what you just said about making situational plays when they need them the most, that is the efficiency of winning. And when you make winning play, how about this? Mahomes made more winning plays. Like Hurts made more winning plays than Dak. So when you look at by the way, I think Dak, but the 62% with 374, okay, I mean, you had a lot of drops in that game, Hoss. Okay? I mean, there were a lot of like you said too at the end, you throw to your third best wide receiver in a situation where you got to win a ball game. I want the best guy on my team. That's like throwing to Kenny Gainwell instead of A.J. Brown. Exactly. I'm not doing that. Hurts is not doing that. That to me right there, again, is when you go, Dak has not made plays when it matters the most. Hurts is making plays when it matters the most. There, why it lies and will always be the difference between these two guys. Making plays when it matters most. And in that game, personally, I think Jalen outplayed Dak. I don't really think it's close. I mean, I had total confidence in him. His accuracy even got better. And here's something else, Tone. People they look at Dak, and he was going against a far less unit to complete all those passes and get all those yards. Hurts was going against one of the top 3 defensive pass coverage teams in the entire National Football League. He had the tougher task of moving the sticks than what Dak is. Of course, those numbers are not going to look eye-popping. I'll tell you this, if Dak Prescott had to play against his own secondary, he may have thrown for 160 yards in that game yesterday.
The Dallas Cowboys have a very good defense, Sills. Like, the fact of the matter is, look, I'm not going to cut corners with this. The Dallas Cowboys have one of the best defenses in the NFL. They're talented from top to bottom. That's the reality. So when you lay it out like that, you're absolutely right. Jalen Hurts had the tougher task going up against that high octane defense that the Dallas Cowboys have. And also on top of this, you know what I love about this game? The Eagles didn't take the bait. We talked about this last week. Too often, they fall in love with the passing game and they think they need to outgun you. They didn't take the bait. They came in. Jalen Hurts threw that ball 23 times. DeAndre Swift ran the ball 18 times. Jalen Hurts ran it 10 times. Kenny Gainwell ran it 3 times, got a touchdown out of it. Rashad Penny even came in and ran it twice. So they ran the ball a grand total of 33 times. You take away Jalen Hurts' rushes, they ran the ball 23 times. Oh, that happens to match up with Jalen Hurts' 23 attempts. So they had an extremely balanced attack and winning that game. And also, it helped when you had the lead in that third quarter. So again, I give kudos to this Philadelphia Eagles team for weathering the storm. And look, that defense did not play well from beginning to end. But what they did was they helped the offense get started on the right foot by starting the game off with a 3 and out. That's win number 1. The least you can do is get allow your offense to go on the field where they can be the first ones to score. They gave them that.
And they turned around on that first series and drove it down their throat.
And exactly. And then they had some timely moments, some timely stops in that fourth quarter. Because the reality is Dak was getting whatever he wanted for the most part. But the reality is that defense came up in some key moments, especially that defensive line. Brandon Graham, we was talking about this brother last week. We was talking about him. And look at that guy. You know what? Big Sills, we are gathered here today. We are gathered here today in memoriam of Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jones, Deron Bland, and the Dallas Cowboys. And we cannot forget missing persons. Now,
look at the Grim Reaper.
He tried his best to get Jalen Hurts out of the game. He tried his best to pipe up his team. But the sad reality is everybody can't make it, Big Sills. Everybody won't survive the night. And lo and behold, we're here to bury our loved ones. And
a eulogy by the Grim Reaper here on the Cowboys.
They came, we saw, and we conquered. Amen. Amen.
So wait, so the East is wrapped up?
Oh, no, not at all, sir. But I'm living in this today.
Oh, okay. You're burying them today.
Hey, listen. On November,
all right.
on November 6th, they're buried. And a few weeks from now, we're gonna buy the tombstone.
Oh,
you know how it goes.
I got it. Hey, so we got a couple more funerals to go to.
Exactly.
Here over the next couple weeks, right?
You know, some families, they bury you, but they can't afford the tombstone right away. So
That's
we're gonna wait on.
Bury you in a no grave. They bury you in a grave with no headstone yet. I got it.
Exactly. So again, we gather here today to remember who the Dallas Cowboys thought they were, but we're going to remind them of who they really are. Amen.
How about the way that the Cowboys moved Parsons around? Instead of just lining up over Lane, they moved him around inside, outside over Mulata.
That's exactly
Mulata had his hands full in the first half. Second half, I thought he played better.
Yes.
That offensive line, though, Tone, I'll say this to you. That ain't the same group of a year ago. It's just not the same group. They just don't look the same.
There's definitely I'll look at it from this perspective, right? Especially on the right side. The right side has been more inconsistent than the left side. And it's so funny, Jordan Mailata, he's ranked, I believe, in the top 3, top 2 at the left tackle position according to Pro Football Focus. So he's been having you can make an argument having his best season.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're right in terms of there seems to be something off about the run game, and especially in pass in the pass. As far as pass blocking as well. Now, I will say this though, Isaac Samalu, he's actually more known for his pass blocking than his run blocking. But I'll also say this as well. I definitely expect. See, we thought Cam Jurgens was going to come back, but instead they put the rookie out there, in Tyler Steen, and I think he did a fair job, all things considered. Right? He had a tall task, but he came in and did his thing. I do believe this offensive line needed this bye week. You brought it up earlier. I feel like this bye week couldn't have been
scripted any better,
placed any better. I think these guys need a break from football. I think this first 8 or 9 weeks of the season really took a toll on them emotionally and mentally, because remember, they still think about that Super Bowl in the back of their mind. And it's so hard to maintain this level of consistency coming off of a loss like that.
Unfinished business.
So I feel like they felt some pressure. I think this bye week is going to allow them to decompress and really just sit back and look at the bigger picture and say, okay, we're 8-1. We're in pole position. Now let's maintain and let's do our job week to week to week, because I think they're going to come in after this bye week with a vengeance. I understand it's one of the toughest slates. I understand it's the toughest stretch in the NFL for any team. But this Philadelphia Eagles team has shown me that it doesn't matter who they're playing up against, they're going to find a way to win. They've been down many times coming out of halftime, and they found a way to get leads, to win the game, to dominate when it matters most. Jalen Hurts being his most accurate. My man pulled off for Patrick Mahomes. Remember in the Super Bowl when Patrick Mahomes he tweaked his ankle, and all of a sudden everybody thought he's done. Man, he went back in there, got a shot, got an IV, put the bionic knee on, and Jalen Hurts came out and started going crazy. So look, I'll tell you this right now, man.
Well, let me ask you this,
It was exciting.
Do you think that his style of play is going to be sustainable the entire year? We're at the halfway point right now.
Well, I'll say this,
and he's pretty beat up.
That's a good point. I look at it like this. So far over the past couple weeks, the past few weeks actually, he's shown you that he can win from the pocket. He's shown that. Now, granted, being a dual threat guy, being able to run and do his thing, that's a part of his game. That's an element that makes him that much more dangerous, right? So I definitely believe it's going to be imperative for him to get healthy, especially after this bye. He's going to need these 2 weeks, absolutely, for sure. But I do have my mild concerns because he made me nervous right before halftime.
He did me too.
When I saw him on the ground, and if you notice, when they slowed down that hit on his leg, that brace saved his season. That brace, because that would have been a torn ACL or MCL. That brace saved his season.
By the way, Tone, I thought the Cowboys took some cheap shots on him. Like that one play when he took off the middle and that guy tried to throw that shoulder in on his helmet and in on his face when he ran and broke away. I thought the refs allowed them to throw a little. And, I'm not one to sit here and make excuses up for somebody because I don't mind a good cheap shot every now and then. But I thought they allowed a couple extra little shots on him that I would have maybe complained on. Push out of bounds, that hit in the middle of the field where that guy threw that. I mean, he was trying to hit him in the head when he was already with his knee down. I was like, that's a cheap shot right there, dog. And they kind of let it play. It's a rivalry game. I get it. But, man, I'll tell you, I thought they – to me, I think those refs in that game, I think they referee him like Cam Newton. And that's why this guy's banged up a little more. There's not a chance in hell Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes would ever have anyone hit them like that. I saw Tom Brady last year against Carolina where a guy fell over him, not on him, and there was roughing the passer that kept the drive going that the Bucs ended up winning that game, which won them the division. And so to me, I think when they look at Jalen, still the refs, do they give him the benefit of the doubt enough when even on pass interference? I don't know that yet. But I'll tell you what they do. They legislate those penalties on him the same way they do Newton. And I call it like the Shaquille O'Neal factor. You could have called a foul on Shaq, or you could have called a foul on anybody on Shaq every play. But after a while, you're not because he's so imposing. And so anybody hang on him. I still think guys like that, those dual threat guys, even the referees, you see it. They're coached differently, like Seth says, and I think they're legislated on penalties different than those drop back guys. And I think that's a referee issue. Am I making more up of this? It just looks different.
The last thing I want to do is try to, take away from what the Philadelphia Eagles were able to accomplish, man. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing, right?
Absolutely not. They had 10 penalties too.
Right. It was 10-10. So I'm able to live with the results here, especially when a lot of 49ers fans and Cowboys fans already think the refs already give us a better swing on things, which is not true. We're being completely honest. The Philadelphia Eagles actually are one of the more disciplined teams in the NFL. This was one of their worst games from a discipline perspective. I've never seen the Philadelphia Eagles defense look that
I thought the refs
lacked composure
calls against them.
Yeah, they lacked composure in the final minutes of that game.
They did.
If you notice, the announcer, one of the things he said was he said this Eagles defense needs a timeout now because remember, James Bradbury went down, and then Darius Slayton went down on the same drive right for the next play. And then the guys were going, and then Hassan Reddick went down on the same drive. Guys, like the Eagles, it was a mass unit on that final drive. I don't know how the Philadelphia Eagles. That's why I rock with my guys, because it doesn't matter if it's a gurney out there, an ambulance out there. It don't matter if it's a defibrillator out there. My guys is going, they right back. It doesn't matter, man.
Hey, I want you to know this. Grim Reaper, I want you to know this.
Yes, sir.
I was texting Greg Olson during the game. He loves Hurts.
Yeah, I know he does.
He loves Hurts. Okay. He's one of my U brothers. He loves Jalen Hurts.
Hurts is
okay. He's a big fan. You know what he's a big fan of? He's a fan of how much he's gotten better. And he's like me. He looks at the completions, but he did say this, that loss of Goddard is going to hurt that team because it wobbled the team a year ago. I think he even may have done the Chicago game last year. What's your take on that one there, them losing Goddard for a month?
I'll be honest with you. That's really disappointing because I got a fun fact for you. He got hurt in week 10 last year. The Eagles were 8-1. He got hurt this year, week 9. The Eagles are 8-1. So he literally got hurt in a 9-game span 2 seasons in a row. And it's unfortunate because we need a guy like him. You saw the play he got hurt on. You saw what he brings to the table.
You think he's injury prone?
If you
or
look
is
at his
it coincidence?
Back-to-back years at the same point in the season, that's definitely coincidence. But
Sounds
as far
like
as,
to me though, kind of running out of steam a little bit.
His whole career, when you think about his whole career in a nutshell, it's like, damn, man, can you play 17 games at all? You feel me? So
yeah.
It's something that needs to be discussed, but also I look at it like this, right? You and I questioned the Julio Jones pickup, earlier in the season. We questioned it, and I still had questions, right? And this is where Howie vision comes in full effect. There's no way you foresee an injury, of course, but you load yourself up with enough bullets in the gun to make sure you can somehow tread water. And I'll be honest with you, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Julio Jones, you still got DeAndre Swift back there in the passing game. Be on the lookout for that too. We're going to see a lot of D Swift in his passing game now. But when you think about those weapons right there, I still like those odds. So I wouldn't be surprised if they use Julio Jones in some of those route concepts they would normally put Goddard in. Running them in motion with the RPO and then forcing the edge rusher to make a decision, delivering it. He cuts upfield. Again, I think this is a situation where, as much as it hurts, they could be in a much worse position compared to other teams. So you got to take the good with the bad.
The cornerback play.
Should I read another eulogy for this man? Because that was bad.
That was brutal. Blankenship and the kid Rex, dude. I mean,
Bradbury, my God.
I know, man. That was brutal.
It can't just be the scheme because they're playing essentially the same scheme. They're not doing anything. The only difference is maybe philosophy, like how they want you to approach the scheme. But as far as what they're actually doing out there, to me the defense looks pretty much the same. So I don't understand. They're not really running that much man. They do a lot of zone. Bradbury, man, he just looks shell-shocked. He's a guy who needs a bye week. He needs to get his legs back under him because too often I saw the back of his jersey. Too often. They were picking that first half, they were picking on Eli Ricks and Sidney Brown like it was bullies in the sandbox. They were literally picking on those guys, man. So the DBs got a lot of questions they have to answer. They got to get healthy. I'm looking forward to seeing what Bradley Roby provides on a consistent basis. But man, that DB room, they're old, man. They're old and they're starting, especially Bradbury.
Tennessee didn't look good either.
He didn't look the greatest either. So I'm definitely going to watch this game back to really get a feel for who did what and who was out of place and so on and so forth. I'm definitely going to watch this game back. But man, just from first glance, man, it wasn't a great performance by those guys at all. But also, I expect Dak Prescott to do what he normally does against the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's kind of like, again, what we expected this defense to struggle. We knew it from the offseason. You and I spoke about this many times. We knew the offense was going to have to be the leading character in this story when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles season. And the defense, they've had games where, listen, you're 8-1. So the defense is doing something.
They're situationally, you know what they're doing? I think they're playing really good red zone defense.
They're situationally, they are. I said this. In order for this defense we have to be okay with this defense being what it is, right? And what they have to do is they have to lean on that pass rush. You're able to stop the run, so you pretty much know how teams are going to attack you. You have to be opportunistic. And that's why they won that game yesterday. The defense was opportunistic in key moments.
Here's why they're 8-1. Teams are doing whatever they want to do against that defense from 20 to 20.
Mm-hmm.
When you get into that red zone, because you're number one in stopping the run, you have an extra defender in the secondary, which is the back line. So you're really playing 12 on 11. Because your playbook shrinks down to 18% of the plays that you can call. And so you have an ability to be able to have another defender out there. There's not a lot of space to operate. Dallas was one of the worst teams in the red zone. They missed Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, for them not having.
I'm glad you said that. I'm so glad you said it because, in my opinion, Tony Pollard was never a leading running back. Never.
There was a prime example on display that Pollard can never be the number one back.
He can't.
You know what? And quite frankly, Swift can't either.
Right.
Because Swift is not a red zone guy. I thought he played pretty tough yesterday, though, and I liked him yesterday.
He played tough.
They
need another running back.
They need somebody like a LeGarrette Blount in there.
They need somebody more physical. They need someone that's more physical.
I look at Jerry Jones and go like this, dude, it was on display. Two things you needed. You needed another number 2 receiver because that Michael Gallup guy, that guy has brick hands. And CD is the only guy running around out there. And what makes CD, those 191 yards, you know what I looked at him as? Hey, he was really great from 20 to 20. When I needed him the most down in the red zone, he was nowhere to be seen because they couldn't get the ball to him. And you have decision-making by Dak going to like the third wideout. Why would you throw to the worst guy in your group? That's a freaking dumb play, man.
Because you know
That'd
why?
be like Jalen on the goal line. And the kid from Atlanta, I'm not going to him. I'm going to AJ, then Devontae.
You know what they did? This is where the Cowboys went wrong. I was talking about this with my wife when we were watching the game. I said, baby, look at this. Because remember, they on that 4th down, he threw it to Tolbert, and James Bradbury was guarding Tolbert, and it was an incomplete pass, and it was a turnover on downs. Remember that? What they were too hung up. The Cowboys were too hung up on McCarthy, Dak Prescott. They were too hung up on trying to take advantage of our weakest link, when instead they should have been focused on
their strength.
Their strongest link. See, that's when you outcoach yourself.
That's right.
And that's why the Eagles lost that Jets game. They were too focused on trying to take advantage of their the other team's weakness instead of trying to lean into their own strength. CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson was cooking the Philadelphia Eagles between the 20s. You mean to tell me on a 4th and gotta have it, you throw it to Tolbert? You throw it to Tolbert?
I don't even know who he is.
I don't even know who he is. So again, they were so hung up on trying to take advantage of an exposed James Bradbury, they forgot to actually give the ball to a wide open Ferguson, who was actually running up the seams wide open.
I would rather have had Dak take off.
I would have had him. Listen, man, this is why the Cowboys are who we know them to be. Because when it matters most, when the rubber needs to meet the road,
they panic.
And they fall back on their priors. We know who this team is already. They're going to be a sexy watch. You know, they're going to put up the numbers, all that kind of stuff. But all those passing yards, right? All those yards they put up, 23 points. So that goes to your point. Maybe this Eagles team, they're giving up a lot of yards, but they're keeping the score within reach of their offense.
Red zone defense. Their red zone offense isn't good, but they've got to be one of the better teams in keeping people out of the end zone. I'd like to know how many points they've given up this year compared to the rest of the NFC teams because, you know, I don't really see a ton of points that they've given up this year. So that means to me, at least, Tone, what are they like? Maybe 17th? They've got to be like 13th, maybe.
The Eagles, in terms of points given up per game, total points, the Philadelphia Eagles are giving up 21 points per game.
You're going to win every game with that.
That's ranked 20th in the NFL.
No way. I'm okay with that.
Right. Now, here's the thing, right?
How many teams are going to beat Philadelphia, in your opinion, scoring 20 points?
And bingo. And that's what we talked about all offseason. This Eagles offense has to put up at minimum 27 points per game for them to win consistently.
And they're putting up 28.
And they're putting up 28.
Yeah.
They're putting up 28.
20 points. You're putting up 20. You're holding teams to 20 points. You're going to win them. In today's NFL, you're going to win them. All right, let's do this. How about the coordinators? Let's start with the offense.
I think Brian Johnson, from quarters 1 through 3, had his best 3-quarter stretch all season. I felt like he was creative. I felt like he didn't panic. I felt like he allowed his running game to take shape in some way. I mean, it wasn't the most dominant running game, but he didn't abandon it, right? I felt like he maintained a balanced approach. I felt like he did a good job trying to get the ball in his playmakers' hands. I like the sequencing. I just feel like they were significantly better in the red zone. The Eagles were 100% in the red zone, 3 for 3. So the red zone play calling was very creative. And I felt like he did a good job, especially in that third quarter was a masterpiece. The fourth quarter, he would have got an A+. That fourth quarter dropped into a B+ to me because he had such a bad fourth quarter. That 3rd and 3 call to throw a deep ball to A.J. Brown is unforgivable. Why? Unforgivable. That's how you lose games.
That's Brandon Staley stuff.
That's how you lose games. You ran the ball on first down. You ran it on second down. And third and 3, you're supposed to run it again. At the very least, you get yourself 2 yards. You're at 4th and 1. What do? The brotherly shove.
And you're still working the clock.
And you're still working the clock. But when you decide to throw it on 3rd and 3, you don't catch the ball, so the clock stops. And then you got to turn it over and give it back to him. And also, Dallas still has 3 timeouts. So that fourth quarter was a shit show. But from quarters 1 through 3, I felt like he put them in position with that 11-point lead. And I'll give Brian Johnson a B+ on the day. That fourth quarter was just cataclysmic.
I think the running game and them not going to it, and then them getting committed to it. I mean, he was trying to do so much balance, and I respected it. Even though they think they had 3.9 a carry in that game, they didn't get away from it, which kept that third and it kept play action alive for Hurts, which slowed down the Cowboy rush defense a little bit and enough for Jalen to make throws. I liked how they stuck with it. Wasn't a ton of success. What they have in the ball game, 109 yards rushing. Not a stellar performance, but 33 attempts. What does that see? It's not so much the yards per carry. It's that when you're a coordinator and you're Dan Quinn and you see 33, that's what they're trending to, 33 attempts. That's when you go like this. Okay, we still got to play the run because the previous 3 weeks, they abandoned it and they stuck with it, which means you have to honor it. And you have to honor it. And they kept going with it. And so I really liked what he did there by sticking to it. That was patience. They got to the fourth, though, and all of a sudden they started seeing Dak coming back, and the defense couldn't stop him. Then when they scored, then all of a sudden you saw him get a little tighter. That's when the 3rd and 3 popped up, and you're like this, bro, that's not where you call that play.
Now,
if anything, punting is also part of the game.
Right.
Field
Let me ask you a
position,
question.
you change it. Clock continues. Look at what you did there, Tone. Think about this. You're 3rd and 3. You hike the ball. You don't get it. There's 25 seconds. Okay? You get back. You snap the ball. There's another 25 seconds when you punt the ball. You're talking a full minute you take off the clock there late in a ball game. You probably caused Dallas to have to use a timeout prior to the 4th down because you're trying to save time for Dak to get the ball back and go back down. And you're sitting here going like this. You didn't force him to use a timeout. You stopped the clock, which means this. You gave him another possession.
Exactly. That's exactly what they did. Because if you think about it, if they run the ball on 3rd down, if they just run it on 3rd down instead of passing it, that eliminates that entire 45 seconds that the Cowboys had at the end of the game. That eliminates that drive. That eliminates that drive completely. You know what I'm saying? So, again, I got a question for you, right? Is that something that gets refined with experience with the offensive coordinator, right? The more you're in certain situations, the more you could, double back and say, okay, I've been in this situation before. I did this. Now I know what not to do.
That's on the quarterback too. That's on the quarterback too. I mean, that the whole thing is an experience, that situation, because an experienced guy. Well, one thing I saw Dak doing that was way different. Dak did a lot of audibling. He did a lot of changing of the plays in the middle there, and and guess what? He audibled too. He audibled to run plays. He wasn't really audibling to pass plays and he was changing McCarthy's plays in the middle of the game. And I was like, holy shit, I hadn't seen that under Kellen Moore a lot. But there I saw him. And when most guys they'll audible into a pass play. Dak was audibling into run plays because he saw something in the line alignment that gave that. And Pollard had some success in the second half because of that audibling. That's what Jalen has to do a little bit of. He's got to take him out of bad plays like that throw. Let's run it, man. If anything, Jalen, maybe they're telling him, hey, we don't want you to run. Well, I want him to run in a situation like that. That was a defining game for him.
Yeah,
and
sometimes
you could have ended that game right there.
Sometimes Jalen can be too much of a rule follower. You know what I mean?
Well, no, he's the coach's kid.
I respect it because he's a
the coach's kid. He respects the authority of the coach's position. You know what, Tone? It's really it's a fine line you play as a guy who continues to develop as. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is not going to overturn Andy Reid's calls every freaking play, but there's going to be a time in the game where he's going to have to change the play, and then he's going to go to the sideline, and Andy's going to ask him, "What'd you see?" It's not going to be mad at him. He's going to know what'd you see.
You know what's so funny?
Jalen has to get to that point too.
You know what's so funny? The Eagles so far in their past two quarterbacks with Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz, they've had two players that exist on two complete different sides of the spectrum. You have Carson Wentz, a guy who's not coachable. And then you have Jalen Hurts, a guy who's arguably too coachable. You know what I'm saying? So it's so far. I mean, I'll rather deal with the guy who's coachable, obviously. But again, I think that comes with experience, being in more of those situations. Look, Jalen Hurts, last season they weren't really put in the situations. They've been put in way more gotta have it situations this season than they have in the past two seasons combined. Like, think about it. They've been put in so many, they've been in a hole quite a few times this season, and they've found ways to win. And I really believe these type of experiences that Jalen Hurts is logging in the Rolodex, that Brian Johnson, those guys are logging, in the catalog, I think is going to bode well in the long term, especially come playoff time.
You know what, though? I'm going to tell you this, man. That bomb almost cost you the game.
Yes.
Okay? Remember what I said to you on Friday?
The moment it happened, I literally screamed to my wife, we're going to lose this game. If we lose the game, that's why we lost. That play right there.
Coaching in the end. And get this. Here's the two things that were critical in the game at the very end. Decision-making by Dak going to that nobody wideout, and coaching at the end of that game gave Dallas the opportunity to win that game. Dallas couldn't capitalize on it, okay? Because of poor situational – and as good as Dak played, watch this. Here's the problem in a game like that. Dak could play great in a 10-play drive for 9 of them and make one poor decision to some dude named – what's his name? Tolbert. Great. Okay. Some dude named Tolbert. There's your game. Ball game.
Sills, you say it all the time. You said Jimmy Johnson taught you this. It's not about the good plays you make. It's about the bad ones you don't make.
You don't make.
You say it all the time.
He doesn't. Jimmy, when Jimmy was coaching us, he was never about making spectacular plays. You're an NFL guy. You're a college superstar. He expects you to make plays. What he doesn't want you to do is illegal procedures, pre-snap penalties, turnovers, unsportsmanlike conduct, things like that get your team beat, because that takes no talent. Think about this, like in some of those penalties and such that you see in that game. The pre-snap penalties, the illegal procedures, the lining up both sides like the Cowboy guy. If I were Dan Quinn, I'd kick that guy's ass, because I'd be like, you see what you just did there? You just gave 10 yards up on a series that we have to win to get them off the field. And you know what you did? You compromised us by not doing the littlest thing. It takes no ability to line up on sides. You don't have to be a superstar DT. That's a mistake. That's almost like a turnover. When you keep a drive going and you keep people moving down the field, it drives me. That's why I couldn't coach, because that shit would absolutely drive me crazy. Let me get you on the defensive side.
Yep.
What do you think of Sean Desai? By the way, before you answer, I saw some of the craziest comments. Fire Desai, and I'm like, guys, ain't one. I'm like, are you crazy? What are you talking about, man? His secondary, those are used parts. Every one of them. You got 2 old cars, and you know what you got? You got used parts in the safety position, and really even at linebacker. You're trying to win a Super Bowl on the cheap side. Okay? This team is not as expensive as last year's team defensively.
Yep.
Think about it. You got 2 free agents that you picked up. One guy was cut already. And your safeties are kind of like a collection of draft choices and free agents. And your corners are old. And because the volume of pressure is not coming like it did a year ago, they're getting exposed.
Absolutely. I'm definitely not on I'm not on the fire to Sean Desai campaign. That's asinine to me. You're still 8-1. I'll look at it like this, right? If Sean Desai and Jonathan Gannon swapped personnel from last year to this year, who you taking? I believe Jonathan Gannon. I believe Jonathan Gannon wouldn't know what to do with this personnel. I firmly believe that he would have been in Howie Roseman's. He would have been in Howie Roseman's office talking about, "Hey, listen, I need this guy, I need that guy, I need this guy." You know what I'm saying? Like Sean Desai is doing the best he can with aging veterans. He's been dealing with a ton of injuries, and in his defensive back room. He's even dealt with some injuries on the defensive line, injuries at linebacker. He hasn't had the same group, for a 2-week span in forever. I think this week was the first time he had the first set of guys, but even then you're still missing Bradley Roby. You know what I'm saying? So you're missing your starting slot in Devontae. You're missing the backup to the starter in Zach McPherson. He's dealt with so many injuries on that side of the ball and still held the Dallas Cowboys to 23 points. It has to be discussed. Let's really think about this, right? We talked about it earlier. The Eagles are averaging giving up 20 points a game, 21 points a game. They gave up 20 points to the Patriots. They gave up 28 to the Vikings. They only gave up 11 to the Buccaneers. They gave up 31 to the Commanders. They gave up 14 to the Rams, 14 to the Jets, 17 to the Dolphins. That was his best stretch defensively right there. And then the Commanders, 31, and then the Cowboys, 23. So from a scoring perspective,
I'll take every one of those.
I'll take it because we knew this. And see, this is the part where people try to change history, or they try to move the goalposts. We knew coming into this season, this defense was not going to be as talented or as good as they were last year. On top of that, you don't get blessed from an injury perspective 2 weeks, 2 years in a row like that. You just don't. No, since when do people go into the Super Bowl having all 22 starters available? It never happens. So when I think about it from that perspective, I'm taking the good with the bad. I understand that this defense is literally going to be a project through and through, and they're going to be on a week-to-week basis. And we knew this offense was going to have to be the one to lead the charge. We knew this. So I don't understand why we're trying to act brand new about it. I understand when the game starts, you get upset. I get upset, right? But the reality is, when you hold the Cowboys at 23 points, you better beat them. Your offense better show up. And lo and behold, they did just that. So for that game, I'm giving Sean Desai. I'll give Sean Desai a B-. I'll give him a B- because he's not out there guarding, right? Bradbury gets a flat-out F, but Sean Desai, he gets a B- from me.
Oh, the coaching was better than the play.
The coaching was significantly better than the way they played. And also you got to give credit where credit's due too. There was plenty of times the Eagles had Dak Prescott dead to rights, but he moved in that pocket and he ran. Yeah. They had him running for his life in the first half. So, you got to give credit where credit's due, man. The other team gets paid to make plays as well. So you held the Cowboys 23 points. You better win that game. Defense did their job. 23 points. I think they did their job, honestly.
It just sounds like piling on, and I don't want to anymore. So I'll probably, maybe after this week, I'll probably stop. But dude,
I think I know where you're going. I know where you're going with this.
Thing with Dean, man, is almost as obnoxious as Gainwell. And Gainwell actually played well in that game.
Yeah, had a touchdown
on Sunday. Yeah. I thought the first touchdown run was awesome. He dove into the end zone. I thought the whole thing, he blocked well. I thought Kenny Gainwell actually redeemed himself in that ball game on Sunday. And I liked the way he played. But, dude, man, I mean, I remember I told you that Ferguson was going to eat up that middle of that zone. And what do you have, 25 catches? We looked at it. He had like 25 catches in like 7 games going into that thing. And he comes out with 7 catches and 91 yards. It's been a game of inches all season, 8-1. Yeah, but you know what? As long as it falls on your side of the aisle, you're good.
Yeah, you know, and I think more than anything, this game, the Cowboys game was the epitome of game of inches, the epitome of it. You know, Nakobe Dean, though, like you said,
Tone, man, I don't even know if he's good.
That's the thing. I don't know what he is.
Right.
But one thing I do know, he has not been able to stay on the field consistently, which makes it hard for me to really judge his play. But another thing I know is I know what they look like when they have Nicholas Morrow out there and Zach Cunningham. I know what that looks like, and
stabilized.
It's stabilized. That's all. Again, like you said, I don't want to keep piling on a young man. He's hurt.
I know, because it's just. I think the Eagles are putting him in a very poor situation. What is very telling to me is that Jalen's QB rating is almost double what Dak's rating is when playing from behind. That says it all. Dak Prescott was outplayed by Jalen Hurts in this game. I don't give a shit what the numbers say. He made more situation plays that mattered to win a game than what Dak did. And his decision making outside of the pass down the field that he did not veto, that's on him too, dude. You got to veto shit like that. You're late in a ball game and you're throwing on 3rd and 3, and that guy doesn't complete that pass. Someone's got to step in with, where's Nick in this? You know, I guess what's going to happen. I already know it. Wednesday, Nick is going to apologize for that. Okay? He'll apologize and say it was my call.
Oh my God, man. I don't care whose call it is. It's idiotic. If it's your call, that makes it even worse.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting absolutely sick of it here. Okay, I'm gonna throw these teams at you here.
Yep.
By the way, Gary Cobb at 4:30 here.
Yeah, man. Can't wait to see what G-Cobb says. It's gonna be awesome.
So NFC playoffs right now, number 1 seed. They got a game lead over Detroit. San Francisco is at 5-3 in the West. New Orleans is at 5-4 in the South. Seattle's the wild card as of right now in the West. Dallas is the wild card in the West. And Minnesota is 5-4, and they are the wild card in the North. That's the playoff teams right now as they sit. Philly 1, Detroit 2, San Francisco 3, New Orleans 4. You'd have the bye. It would be this: Detroit, Minnesota as of right now. San Francisco, Dallas would be the opening wild card game.
Dallas don't want that smoke again. They don't want that again.
Is that what it would be? It would be Detroit, Minnesota.
Yep.
San Francisco, Dallas.
Dallas.
It would be New Orleans and Seattle.
That's exciting right there.
Any one of those teams worry you on the NFC side?
I'm always going to be concerned with the 49ers and the Cowboys because they are who they are and they're talented. And, you know, that's why home field advantage is so important in this stretch, because if you get it, you can dictate the terms of war. So I'm always going to pay attention to the 49ers and the Cowboys. Everybody else, I think they're just here for a good time, honestly.
They're just wait a minute, Tone. So you're saying the Dallas Cowboys are just a party boat?
I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is 49ers, Cowboys, those are the teams I pay attention to. Everyone else?
Yeah, you talked about Dallas like they're strippers, man. I mean,
well, listen. When the rent is due, player, you got to come collect. You know what I'm saying? today I'm basking in our glory, but I understand what Dallas is in reality. I understand the Eagles could have lost that game. I could be singing a totally different tune today. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like we weren't there. Woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
I don't. You know me, man. I don't subscribe to that stuff.
No, I don't either. But I just want to have as much respect for the opponent as I can. Without
except Dallas
again.
Except Dallas.
Except Dallas today. Because again, Dak Prescott, I know what he does to the Philadelphia Eagles. I know that he plays above and beyond for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I have to respect that notion. But I'm gonna always talk trash about them no matter what, and it's never gonna change. But I do respect their defense. I respect their defense is for real.
Their secondary is really good.
Yeah.
Here's the AFC. Kansas City's number 1 at 7-2. That's a team you play coming out of the bye. Baltimore second. By the way, Baltimore is for real. I watched that team. They beat up Seattle. I mean, they didn't beat them, Tone. They beat them up.
They abused them, honestly.
I mean, Baltimore second at 7-2. You got the Jags at 6-2. Miami is 6-3. Pittsburgh 5-3, which has been a surprise. Talks about the great coach and Tomlin. Cleveland at 5-3. I don't know how with Mrs. Watson. And there's Cincinnati, man. Cincinnati's beating San Francisco. But what do you notice here that I didn't mention? There's no Buffalo in the top 7 there. And if the playoffs were to start right now,
the entire AFC.
Out.
Listen, the entire AFC North can get into the playoffs.
How I know.
Does that sound?
All 4 teams are in it.
That is insane. But also, I was looking at me and Rob were breaking down their schedules respectively. Baltimore, Browns, Bengals, Steelers. We were looking at their schedule. And honestly, just based off the way their schedule's set up, I understand Baltimore, it looks like world beaters, but Cincinnati is coming, and they're coming in hot.
Yeah.
And that division, in my humble opinion, is the furthest thing from guaranteed to the Ravens. The furthest thing from guaranteed. They cannot slip. So very well that entire division can get into the playoffs. I don't know if Pittsburgh can sustain. That defense is only going to take them but so far. But overall, man, that AFC North, oh man, it's going to be a war. It's going to be a war. And the Ravens, as good as they look, nothing is guaranteed over there. Joe Burrow and those guys are coming.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tone, Reaper, Mayor, great stuff, man. You look great too, by the way, man. I love that
friend.
book.
And listen, sometimes you got to bring
the good, the bad, the ugly, man.
And listen,
like it.
Sometimes they call it your Sunday's best. Sometimes you got to be called your Monday's best. Okay, you know what I mean. So look, like I said,
you look like Michael Corleone.
We were gathered here to witness the burial of the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, and Jerry Jones and Deron Bland. It was a beautiful life they lived.
I got to get you one of these, though, man. I got to get you one of these to hang there, man. You know, I got to get you something like that there, man, to put something out there for you.
Hey, listen. I need one of those. I need one of those Godfather rings. You feel me?
Yeah.
I need one of those
I know what you're talking about here. Hey, I got what you're saying there. Hey, Tom, great stuff, man. I can't tell you I appreciate it. Great segment as always. Thank you, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. The Grim Reaper, man. Doing eulogies right now for the Dallas Cowboys. Gary Cobb's going to join us at 4:30. Don't forget, Happy Wingsgiving from Hooters. Throughout the entire month of November, they're going to be giving you great specials. The iconic Hooter girls want you to know and thank you for what you guys have done. Ice Cold Coors Light, $2.99, one of the specials. 25 cents goes to local charities. The Hooter calendars are out, 2024, $100 in coupons. Go to northeasthooters.com. That's northeasthooters.com. Lunch specials, Monday through Friday, 11:30 to 3, boneless wings. Happy hour, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6, 6 items, $6. Do me a favor, try the fried pickles. Military Monday, 20% off all our great military folks who served our government. Wing Wednesdays, 1983, all you can eat. Kids eat for free on Saturdays. That's northeasthooters.com. Northeasthooters.com. When you roll into Hooters, do me a favor, tell them Big Sil sent you.
Whose house? Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
My name is Dr. Bruce Grossinger, and I'm the medical director of Philadelphia PRP and Stem Cell Institute. I'm reaching out to those who suffer from spine and joint pain. We use treatment methods that require no surgery, no scalpel, no drugs.
Running, walking, or whatever your desires are. Dr. Grossinger is where you need to come.
You can benefit from the same PRP and stem cell treatment as Wilbert Montgomery. Call us now at 610-222-5675.
We're here to show you a better way to spend your state income taxes and get the money to where it's needed to most to the thousands of qualified kids.
What we like about Blocks is they really know where the need is.
This program ensures that their dollars come 100% into these kids for their tuition assistance.
If you are able, Blocks makes the EITC piece go very quickly and very smoothly.
Turn your PA state tax liability into need-based scholarships and receive a 90% tax credit.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sil's National Football Show. I just got my ballot here for the All-American team, and unfortunately, there's no Gary Cobbs at Southern Cal right now. And I would say this, that guy Lincoln Riley. By the way, those dudes over at WIP, what's his name? John Ritchie was trying to tell you that Lincoln Riley was going to be the next head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. You better thank your lucky stars two things didn't happen. Russell Wilson became your quarterback, and Lincoln Riley. I told you that is going to be the worst head football coach in USC history. You know why? Because they don't believe in guys like Gary Cobb or Palomalu. They don't believe in guys like Ronnie Lott. And there ain't a guy on this All-American ballot. I'll vote for that football team. And by the way, Caleb Williams, I don't know. Those aren't the Southern Cal teams that people used to fear. You know who the superstars were at USC? The defenders, the O-line, and the running backs. That's why you've never had a quarterback worth the shit at that place. The stars were on defense, O-line. If you go back in the history of Southern Cal, do you know who the biggest stars are? The offensive line. The running backs, the linebackers, the defensive tackles, Jeter, all them guys. These guys were freaks. That is not the same team that runs around there at the Coliseum. That guy's a train wreck. And he was going to be the Eagle head coach? I digress there enough because I bring in another Trojan legend. And USC, man, I bring in from Fox 29 our friend Gary Cobb. Boy, how the mighty have fallen.
Well, you know, the things you were touching on, you know, at USC, really, even though it was in L.A., it was old-fashioned, go to work, you know, the grind and all that stuff. That was really the thing that anybody that went out there during that time it wasn't about the pretty boy stuff. We didn't play pretty boy football. We played grind football, meaning we had practices where you know, like right now, man, guys would walk off if they practiced like we practice. But you know, and the guys had a respect for each other because they know if you were putting on that jersey, you know, you had some heart, you know, regardless of how fast you were and how big you were, all that stuff. They knew, look, this guy got to have some heart because if he's in here playing, you know, he's that type of player. So that
shit, your second team back in the day at Southern Cal could probably win the Pac-8 back then.
Yeah,
that's how loaded and deep you guys were. Let me switch you over to the Eagles. Let me get your takeaways, Gary, about that game on Sunday. I mean, it was just an old school NFC East. I enjoyed the game.
Yeah,
you know, I didn't enjoy the 3rd and 3, chuck the ball down the field late in the game to get the guy the opportunity. However, your takeaway on what you saw on Sunday.
Well, you know, I thought it was a very competitive game, you know, and I got to give both teams credit. I mean, for working. I didn't like everything I saw, like defensively for the Eagles. Come on, that secondary. I mean, they got to have a meeting or something, man. What is going on? You know, and you know they can't stop anybody. And really, you know, Dallas pretty much stopped themselves because it wasn't where the Eagles were stopping them. And I will give credit for some of the, you know, the pass rushes at the right time where they got pressure on Dak and everything. But other than that, would somebody cover somebody? Come on, are you kidding me? You know, experienced guys. I was in the locker room afterwards. All I could do was just start talking, man, and getting people upset and going like, I mean, Bradbury, dude, how can we pay you? You know, if I'm the coach, I'm like, how can we pay you, man? You know, you're getting beat all the time, and you know, at least we want you to play smart football. So if you know a guy's faster than you, back up. You know the guy's faster than you. So that was frustrating from that part. I will say that you know, they showed, you know, their scrappiness and you know, that part of the Eagles, you know, they are a tough-minded football team. At least most of the guys are.
It looks like they played, Gary, and they've been playing good red zone defense because you're only surrendering 20 points.
True.
And it really looks like people are, you know, like you said, they got one of the worst pass cover teams, if not the worst in the league right now, giving up the most yards.
Yes.
And, you know, you're still only giving up 20.
Yeah.
But, man, I mean,
but you know, and
so far off the ball. Gary, look at these.
I know.
So the last 2 weeks, they've given up over 780 yards in total passing yards. The Sam Howell and Dak Prescott, I mean, 7 touchdowns and 1 pick. You're getting eaten alive.
Guys wide open. Come on. I could see if, you know, the contested catches and everything. But it's like they couldn't cover C.D. Lamb, and if he went out there, you know, with a chain on or something, some kind of weight on, they could still not cover him. I don't know why they stopped. They should have thrown through to him every play. He was so much quicker than everybody. And with all due respect, I know we got some veteran corners. Everybody's time comes.
Is our secondary slow?
That's what it looked like to me. It looks like to me now. You know, I identified Bradbury, but look, I'm seeing other guys back there the same way. I mean, you just cannot run with at least C.D. Lamb. I mean, he looked like he was so much quicker than the Eagles guys. I was wondering, like, why would you throw to anybody else? If a guy's that wide open, I mean, not a little bit open, you don't even see anybody else in the screen. I mean, are you kidding me? You know, that is that was frustrating. And the only thing that saved them really was the pass rush.
Yep, again.
They were able to get to them. And I was talking to Brandon Graham afterwards. See, he came inside, you know. The guy was setting up outside, you know. They wanted him to just run up. No, he came inside, and that was, you know, that was the key, because if he'd have went around, he would have never gotten there, you know. But he came inside.
Tell you, Gary,
yeah,
that play on the goal line by Graham. I mean, you remember the Super Bowl play?
That's right.
And he gets a sack and a half.
Yep.
I said this, man. Those are games that when you're a Philadelphia fan, and you remember that guy, you look back on that and go, because those games like that, those are games you remember.
That's right.
But that was the game. The 2-point play, keeping him out like that.
That's right.
What an effort play, man. That was really a great football play.
Yeah, he did. And you know, I mean, and how it shows, those two plays and the play on the goal line and everything. Yeah. It just shows you how close the game is, because those plays there, normally they're not taking points off the board, but they're taking points off the board because that review showed, and it was so close. But I will give Dak a lot of credit. I mean, he played, man.
Dak played great.
He played a great game, and if he continues to play like that, if they don't change that secondary and do something, they're not going to want to see them later on, man. They got to be honest and go, look, we shouldn't have beat these guys. Come on, they were marching up and down the field. It was just, they were very fortunate that they got out of there with a
So you think the NFC East is not wrapped up yet?
No, not the way they played. Come on, I mean, the week before against Washington, the offense saved the Eagles. The defense was so bad. I mean, guys running wide open all over the place. And this is a throwing league now. And, I'm holding my breath against the Chiefs. Come on, you think the Chiefs look at that screen? Andy Reid looks at this and goes, when can we start playing? Can we play them tomorrow?
Kelsey's going to eat that team alive.
Come on, man. They really, and you know what? See, and this is the thing, is that the players have to, they're the ones got to be the maddest, where they're looking at guys go, look, man, we're not going to survive playing like that. And, the coaches got to take some responsibility too. But that, I mean, you put down a W there, but they didn't, the way the secondary played, that was not a.
What about Ricks and Blankenship?
I like the way I like the young kids, because they're learning, and I see effort, and you can see they got athletic ability. Of course, they're still learning the game on this and how to anticipate things. But when it comes to, Slay is not giving you anything. Blackberry, come on, man. Even Byard, I mean, he.
Yeah, he didn't play well.
Come on, they know. At least I will give Byard credit. I heard him in the locker room say, hey, we didn't play well. Yeah, okay, all right. I hear you. Don't be in there smiling like you played well. You got bailed out, man. You got bailed out. And, hey, I can't say that anybody plays the game. You're going to play some bad games. But they got to know they got to play much better than that. And you look at, you got KC, who you got the Bills, you got San Francisco, Seattle.
And the Cowboys again.
And the Cowboys again. So we're going to find out some things. But I wouldn't start celebrating. I wouldn't be celebrating. They know they've got to play much better than that. And then also offensively. Offensively, of course, they had some great drives they put together. But, I'll give Jalen credit. He said, hey, we did not take over that game the way we should have. You got the ball, 7 minutes to play, 4 minutes to play. They're not supposed to get it back. They know they're supposed to put together a drive. They're not supposed to be punting back. They're not supposed to be 3 and out. They had like 4 3 and outs there. And, defensively, offensively, in the last quarter, the offense left. It's like the offense was getting on the bus and left before the game was over, and they know they've got to do better than that. Normally, they had played well for most of the game, but for some reason in the fourth quarter, and I know I could see it on AJ's face, he wasn't happy because he wanted the ball. He wanted the ball with the game on the line.
I'll say this to you too, Gary.
Yeah.
You haven't played the position over a decade. Nakobe Dean cannot be on the football field on third down. And now he's hurt again. Yeah. Gary, we're now, this is 9 games in. Experimental time is for the offseason here. He was poorly prepared for what the task at hand was going to be. And you and I even said, maybe put him at Will or put him at Sam, get him worked into it, to throw him into a boiling pot of water and expect him not to be the focal point. That kid Ferguson and the rest of those guys, when he was out there, they were targeting him. He can't play.
That's right. On one play, the kid Ferguson was so open. He went, Dak went to somebody else, but I think it might have even been a 4th down play. Ferguson is, over the middle doing this. That's how open he was, So You know, I think with the injury and things, I mean, I don't see how he's going to do very much, you know. And you see they kind of forced him back in there because the linebackers were playing well.
Well, Gary, tell me on that point too.
Yeah.
I mean, they've stabilized that position, Cunningham and Murrow.
Yeah.
Why would you stunt that progression by adding a kid who's a lesser guy? And get this, you and me, I don't even know if we're saying he's not good. We're just saying he's not ready. I don't, you know, and plus we got to figure out if he's going to be able to sustain playing 17 games in an NFL season where the league is not as near as physical when you played. You're most of the time, 70% of the time, you're in third and long. You're in pass coverage. You're not really taking on these big guys. So, I mean, doesn't that hurt the stabilizing of that position when you keep putting guys in and out like that on communication alone?
I was really surprised that they put him back in because the linebacker position wasn't a problem. If anything, it was a plus. These guys are making plays. They're doing a great job of tackling in the open field. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Leave it alone, you know, and especially with the problems they're having back there. And I think that it could be solved some when some of these guys get healthy, especially the kid that's playing the slot. You know, that's where they're really having problems with. You know, it just doesn't seem like they have a good matchup for that. And like I said, the Cowboys did them a favor throwing to anybody but CeeDee Lamb. I mean, the guy's wide open.
He threw the ball to a dude named Tolbert. I almost shit a brick. I'm like, who's that? Where did he play? I mean, why would you throw the ball to a guy that's in your huddle who's probably your worst wide receiver, and you go to him? Yeah. I'd rather see Dak take off, get it to Goddard, get it to that guy Ferg. I mean, I couldn't believe that was a huge mistake by the Cowboys there.
Yeah, I mean, they knew they wanted to try to take CeeDee Lamb away, but they couldn't. They couldn't take him away. He was so much quicker than everybody that throwing to anybody else you're doing them a favor, man. I mean, because he wasn't just open a little bit. And they know they're going to him. So, you know, they couldn't stop him. They should have never tried to go to anybody else. I mean, he was just wide open the whole day. And Dak was accurate when he was trying to get it to them. But, you know, it's kind of thing where sometimes, you know, you try to fix something that's not broken, you know.
The injury to Dallas Goedert means what?
Well, I don't know. I really didn't hear them say
4 weeks.
4 weeks. Well, you know, they got enough weapons. I think they could, you know, it's definitely going to hurt them, though, because.
Hurt him more in the run game, you think?
Yeah, it's going to hurt him in the run game. You know, and I just don't think really that in the running game, you know, I thought they were going to try to work, what's his name, Penny in. But, you know, they don't feel good about Penny.
They gave him like a couple, some carries, and then said no after. They kind of just. And I didn't think he was bad.
I don't think they feel good about him, but they need a bigger back. You know, with all due respect to, you know, to some of their backs, all their backs are small. And I look at them when they run, they're not running in there punishing anybody. And if anything, you see them start wincing when they're getting ready to get hit. They need a back that can go in there where he's looking for somebody to run over. That's the kind of back they could use because they got a line that would love to go in there and do
I'd like
that
to have Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, now that would be a good one. He would be a good one. You got a veteran guy with the toughness. He's smart.
Looks for contact.
He looks for contact and everything. But, you know, I just don't see like Swift. Swift is a good back. He's a good guy to have in the rotation. But he's not looking for people to hit.
He's not a physical guy.
No, he's not.
I'll tell you this too, Gary.
Yeah.
I think the Cowboys, without a doubt, Jerry Jones, I think he hurt the team's chances of winning a Super Bowl because look how many times they got down in the red zone. They miss Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, they didn't have the ability to get that ball in the end zone.
You're right.
They were trying to do trick plays and shit, throwing this and that.
Yeah.
And where Zeke had 11 touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
That was felt.
You got to have that part of your game where you can go physical. You got to have that side of it. And they made a mistake there because, yeah, they have to, they're just throwing the ball. I just don't see in it, you know, that physical part of the game they used to have. It's not there, and you need that part. The Eagles, they don't have a back like that either. They don't have a physical back. You know,
Osen, thank you very much. I got a couple last questions here for you, Gary. Was that a signature win, you think, for Jalen Hurts?
No.
Why?
Because they didn't finish it. You know, normally now, I will say, they won the game and everything, but I don't think he was totally happy with it. And listen to him talk afterwards, because even though, it will go down as one where he beat Prescott, they beat the Cowboys, but with the game on the line, all those times in the fourth quarter, they were 1, 2, 3 and off the field, 1, 2, 3 and off the field. That's not the way that when they're playing their best football, they don't come off. They finish the game, 4-minute drive, 7-minute drive, and everybody drives safely. See, that's the way that line and all those guys, Kelsey's like that. The fact that they didn't do that and they were off the field and they were standing over there watching the defense, and they know they were fortunate. Come on, they know that a good team with all the pieces, like when the Cowboys get down there, come on, they're going to lose that game. They know they got to play better. So I think that's the thing that they know. They didn't finish, and they talk about finishing. They want to come out where they like I said, they go into the grind, and especially with the guys that want the ball on that team, they didn't come up with when it was on the line. They did not get it done.
Last question for you, Gary. To me, when I look at the offensive line this year compared to a year ago, the loss of Sayamalo over on the right side, I mean, you and I know this. Most of the time in the NFL, young defensive tackles and defensive linemen, you could beat 20. Most of those guys are good. You want to get guys young. Yeah. And it takes guys until their early 30s and maybe mid-30s to develop O-linemen. Mm-hmm. And those guys, like Trent, look at the two best tackles in the game, Trent Williams and Lane, are in their mid-30s.
Yeah, you're right.
And you look at when you took that one component out, Malata had a tough time with Parsons in that game. Mm-hmm. They ran the ball for 109 on 33 attempts. Okay. Yeah. Not tremendous, but okay and good enough. Yeah. It just seems to me their pass protection, quarterback gets hit more. Mm-hmm. They're not running the ball as well. That's right. Are we seeing a sign of age here with this?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons they had the young kid, they put him in there, the guard. They put him in there because with Sua or Peta, they weren't getting the type of play, and they weren't getting the push they were getting with Juergens, because Juergens is hurt. So they put this, the young kid in there, and he's still learning. That was his first game. So he was unsure, and that's why, they really didn't have that consistent movement in the middle that they normally have. So hopefully they get that back. They know they need that. I would have liked to have seen them go out and get a big back for the rest of the year where they can get physical. And if they want to, they say, look, we're going to run the ball 10 times in a row. And we're pounding this ball on you. So they have that side of them, they know they can do a lot. They really have progressed in the passing game, Unfortunately, with Dallas Goedert out, that hurts them. And we'll see how some of these guys that'll be taking his place. But that's a loss with Dallas Goedert out of there. But we'll keep an eye on that offensive line. I would like to see them finish the season where they've got a running game that they can turn on when they want to. And like I said, tell everybody, drive safely. This game is over. That's what they like to do.
Hey, Gary, one last thing here. I'd love to see Howie running up and down the sidelines down there at the end of the ball game, going, hey, everybody, here you see, I thought Jerry Jones was on the sidelines running up and down there he was. Hey, I built this. Hey, look, everyone. I was like, wow, this guy's a horn blower.
Yeah, well.
Holy shit, is he a horn blower?
Howie had to get a little bit of his, so.
Yeah, it was a big, hey, wait a minute. It was a big Fox game, It was
that's
a
right,
TV game. You know how he's got to get his pound of flesh out there to let everyone know who did this.
Hey, you know,
he's got a huge ego, dude.
He might have told them, hey, you know what? I might be down on the sideline, you guys. I'm just saying. I might be down there.
The way he was running, I thought it was Sean McVay going down the sidelines. And I was like, who's that? Who's that little guy running on the sidelines? They signed a new special teams kicker. No, it's Howe. I went, oh my God. You know, hey, Gary, maybe my ass with him is because he went to Florida. You know, so I'm gonna hold that.
You'll hold that against him.
He's a Gator, so I'm probably gonna go there with that. So,
but Howie's a good guy. I give Howie credit. Howie does work. He puts in the work. So I don't mind him getting some credit.
Absolutely, gets a little playtime. Gary, thank you, my friend.
All right, have a good one.
You got it, Gary Cobb, Fox 29. Don't forget to check him out. He covers the Philadelphia Eagles, longtime Eagle himself, and also NFLer. We appreciate him doing that. All right, hit the like button. We're going to reset. We're going to look at week 9 of the National Football League, too. We're going to do that. We're going to look at the playoff race. We're going to reset the game, and we're going to go over some things we missed. Talking about Dallas's loss to the Eagles. By the way, you would never know. You go online right now. I swear the Cowboys won. Go online right now. The Cowboys won. Hey, the Eagles, they were very lucky. No. That's not how sports works. You make your luck when you're 22 of 26 games. Even I have to admit that. You've won 22 of 26 games. That's not luck. That's making your luck. Do you understand that? That's making your luck. Lucky is winning a football game when you're 4-4. Not when you're 8-1 and you've won 22 of 26. There's nothing lucky about the Eagles. There's nothing lucky about them. There's nothing lucky about that team. Oh, they got the fumble back. Okay. They won the game. Can I get a tool threat? I like tool threat. I told you I did. Get a legend, baby. Big Sills, legend. All right. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
My name is Dr. Bruce Grossinger, and I'm the medical director of Philadelphia PRP and Stem Cell Institute. I'm reaching out to those who suffer from spine and joint pain. We use treatment methods that require no surgery, no scalpel, no drugs.
Running, walking, or whatever your desires are, Dr. Grossinger is where you need to come.
You can benefit from the same PRP and stem cell treatment as Wilbert Montgomery. Call us now at 610-222-5675.
We're here to show you a better way to spend your state income taxes and get the money to where it's needed to most to the thousands of qualified kids.
What we like about Blocks is they really know where the need is.
This program ensures that their dollars come 100% into these kids for their tuition assistance.
If you are able, Blocks makes the EITC piece go very quickly and very smoothly.
Turn your PA state tax liability into need-based scholarships and receive a 90% tax credit.
EAGLES, Eagles.
I went back and looked. I believe Jalen Hurts now against the NFC East is 9-4 as a starting quarterback. Not too bad. A couple of years ago, Dallas was better. And there wasn't really a lot of head-to-head competition between those two. I think that was only the second time that they had played against one another. So going all the way back to 2020, when he started against I think he started against the Cowboys and some other games, just a couple starts, and then Sudfeld started the final game, then 21, and then 2022 and where he is right now. So I think he's 9-4 versus the NFC East. Not bad. Absolutely not bad. And it's going to continue to get better. He'll get two more. Get this. He'll at least get two more wins against the Giants. That'll put him at 11-4. And if he gets another win against the Cowboys, that'll be 12-4. In his starts against the NFC East, on his way to dominating it. That's what you want to have. You want to have the quarterback, not just with the best statistics. You want to have a quarterback that's winning ball games in that division, because that means you're owning that division. Okay? You got a chance to be, by the end of the year, 12-4 in the East. You're getting it done. Okay? You're totally getting it done here. It's great stuff there, man. Hey, by the way, NFL Coach of the Year, how's he doing in New York? How's Brian Dable doing in New York? That thing looks kind of like a shit show, doesn't it? Before I move on and looking at some of the playoff teams here, I don't know if you saw that Caleb Williams dude crying on the sidelines and watching Shedeur Sanders. Boy, those two have taken a nosedive. Those two have taken a nosedive when it comes to being drafted. Wow. I mean, Caleb Williams, no thank you. They were comparing that guy to Patrick Mahomes. I don't see it. And Sanders, that guy takes more sacks than any quarterback I've ever seen. He refuses to throw the ball away like Jalen will. Hurts throws that ball away. He don't care about stats. I'm completely convinced of that. And yet, get this. How about this when I say this about a guy like Jalen Hurts? Okay? Jalen Hurts still has like a 70% completion percentage. Okay? And he throws the ball away. He throws the ball away. And you're like, the guy is accurate, and he throws it away. Sanders won't do it. He'll take sacks. He'd rather take the minus play than take the minus throw that affects his statistics. I don't want to draft a guy like that. That's more concerned about his play than my team's play. I don't want anything to do with that attitude. And, these guys are blaming the offensive line, and I'm going like this. You knew that going in. Now they're 4-5. Things unraveling. And you know what's happening? What happens when shit unravels? People start grabbing life preservers, and they start blaming everyone. When the Titanic goes down, people kick people like Jack off the bedpost. Okay? Hey, I love you, dude. Hey, sorry, man. This is about me surviving. The story of the Titanic at the very end, when Rose pushes that dude into the water, is a prime example when a team starts unraveling. Hey, I love you, man. You was great sex. And you and me loved one another, bud. This is about me making it. See you, Jack. That's the end of that. See ya. He's 6 in passing, 6 in TDs, number 1 in wins. Who's that? Who's that? Caleb Williams? What's he won? He can't beat Utah. You kidding me? That guy hasn't won a Pac-12 title. You can't win a Pac-12 title, but you think Caleb Williams is going to go into the NFL and he's going to win the NFC East. Okay. Hey, he won a lot of shitty games in the Pac-12. Congratulations. Hey, I'm in one of the worst conferences in all of college football, and I'm winning a lot of games. Congratulations. Another overhyped USC quarterback from Lincoln Riley that won't do shit in the NFL. How you doing? Name me one quarterback that he recruited, Lincoln Riley, and you don't get Hurts. You don't get Jalen Hurts. Jalen was a gift from God. He was a gift from Nick. You bet, man. Always remember, JoJo, we're on the boat there, man, unless it's my kid. Get this. You and me, man, and the thing's going down and we're in 35 degrees water and things are sorry. Hey, Tone, I love you, man, but, this is, yeah. Hey, I'm like, how you doing, man? I'm like, I don't know. Yes, sir. Sills, Utah has been good for a couple seasons. Utah's been great under Kyle Whittingham. Kyle Whittingham has been on this program 3 times. I love the dude. It's a great football program. It's one of the top 3 programs in the Pac-12. Shit, man. USC stinks. Thank you, Spin. Awesome. Stinks. So do you know who Caleb Williams is? He's a better version of Sam Darnold. Name me one Southern Cal quarterback outside of Carson Palmer, I guess, USC has had that you went, well, that was an NFL guy. Name me one. Name me one. One quarterback in the history of USC that you went, man, that guy was a great NFL player. Who, Pat Hayden? Tone don't even know who Pat Hayden is. You can't name one guy out of that place. It's another school that doesn't produce quarterbacks. However, that may change at one place. I gotta show you this here. This guy, CJ Stroud, might be changing the narrative that I always bring up about Ohio State quarterbacks. There's another place that's never had a quarterback worth of shit at their program in 160 years. Ohio State's never produced an NFL quarterback worth of shit. Schleister was kind of okay, but they never really. Rex Kern was kind of fairly decent, but they've never had anything. Okay, they've all been college guys. I mean, Chandler Jones. Who else? God rest his soul, Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields. These guys all look bad. Then you look at this kid, Stroud. So how would you like to have this for a rookie? He might throw for 5,000 yards this year. He's on pace for 48-24, 30 TDs, 2 picks. 102.9 QBR rating. 102 as a rookie. And as you're going to get, what happens when you're on a football team that's rebuilding? Personally, when you see numbers like this, and you see a 62% completion percentage, do you know what that usually means? You don't have good players around him. He's making this happen himself. Those completion percentages will go up once better players are around him. A better O-line gets built around him. They've got a back. You add a tight end. You add a couple more wideouts. You add a couple more pieces to the puzzle. You get that guy. How about this? If you put Marvin Harrison Jr. on that team, they may win 10, 11 ball games. If he had A.J. Brown on that team, C.J. Stroud, that'd be a scary team. Okay? No. I know he has one pick, but big. He's trending for 30 TDs and two interceptions. They're kind of like projecting 30 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Yeah. That'd be more touchdowns and less interceptions than Jalen. He's got to be in a conversation for not only Rookie of the Year, the MVP. By the way, DeMeco Ryans is a runaway NFL Coach of the Year. I like Dan Campbell, but DeMeco Ryans is a slam dunk top 3 finisher. What a wonderful job he is doing coaching that football team. This is coming off the heels of getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins, the shit talking that was going on by J.J. Watt at the end, getting rid of Watson and that whole fiasco, the owner with that slave comment that he had, Bob McNair, that ridiculous guy that's in that organization, that religious fanatic guy that kind of like goes with the McNair family. There's some sort of weirdo dude in that organization. They bring in Nick Caserio. All of a sudden, they change the culture around. They bring in a guy. Hey, am I right when I say this? Ryan's played there, right? He played there. I love former players. I love former players being head football coaches like that. That's a tough mentality to them, man. It's a tough mentality. Alabama don't produce great NFL quarterbacks either. Well, really? Let's see. Hall of Famer Namath. Hall of Famer Stabler. Jalen Hurts is an MVP candidate. Tagovailoa is leading the NFL in passing yards. I don't know. That thing's changing, and the narrative's changing. Ohio State and USC they don't produce anything. Actually, if you really want to look at it, Ohio State, I can name you more superstar quarterbacks at Purdue than I can at Ohio State. And more Hall of Famers from the NFL at Purdue. There's 2 Hall of Famers in Purdue's history at quarterback. Breeze and Greasy. Then you had Jim Everett was there. Ken Dawson, another Hall of Famer. They've had 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks at Purdue. Antonio Pierce had to beat his Giants yesterday. I love that too. Hey, did you hear you want to hear a little insight? So I guess that there was a meeting 2 weeks ago, and Josh McDaniel was in the meeting room. Did you hear this, guys? Tony, you may not have heard this too. Technically, Joe Burrow was kicked out of Ohio State and told to go somewhere else because they were going with Justin Fields, who transferred from Georgia. Technically. He had to go win a Heisman and a national championship at LSU. So technically, he was kicked out. Okay? Okay, get this. So Antonio Pierce is sitting there, and the Raider guys are in there, and Josh McDaniel asked Antonio Pierce to give a motivational speech. And you know what he said? In the middle of the meeting, this is the Raiders. This isn't the fucking Patriots. This isn't what that bullshit is up there. Josh McDaniel, in the middle of his speech, condemned Antonio Pierce for ripping the Patriots. That's when everyone in the locker room went like this. This guy holds the Patriots with more respect than his own team. And that's when Mark Davis fired him. Yeah, that's right, Maniac. Told him, said, we don't do that. And right. They fired him. Next day, Mark Davis. Hey, and Devontae Adams went to lunch with Mark. Should I show you guys this? This is my cell phone here. There's my beautiful daughter. Look at her. Right here, little Dee Dee right there. It's my beautiful daughter. See her right there? Okay. No ideas. I got to show you this. Tone, you're going to love this. And hey, you guys know I know everyone, right? Let's see, Mark Davis. Mark Davis. Mark Davis. Okay. So I've got to do this because I don't want to show the phone number. There's Mark Davis' cell phone number. Right there. Mark Davis. I texted him the other day. Is it true? He goes, yeah. I'm like, you gotta get that guy out. Because you know I was close friends with his dad. Okay? I was friends with his dad. I love Al Davis. Al Davis was a maverick. Okay? And he's like, yeah, I go, dude, that guy, man, he thinks more of the Patriots than his own team. I go, that's not somebody. What would your dad say? He goes, you're either a Raider or you're not. I go, your dad would blow up on that. Your dad would blow up on that. No, it's not name dropping. What I'm trying to tell you is that his dad would have blew a gasket right there. He would have blew a gasket. And Mark fired him the next day. Crazy. All right. Power Hour. We're going to look at week 9 of the NFL. Also, we're going to reset from the game on Sunday. The good, the bad, the ugly. We'll do that. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
My name is Dr. Bruce Grossinger, and I'm the medical director of Philadelphia PRP and Stem Cell Institute. I'm reaching out to those who suffer from spine and joint pain. We use treatment methods that require no surgery, no scalpel, no drugs.
Running, walking, or whatever your desires are, Dr. Grossinger is where you need to come.
You can benefit from the same PRP and stem cell treatment as Wilbert Montgomery. Call us now at 610-222-5675.
We're here to show you a better way to spend your state income taxes and get the money to where it's needed to most to the thousands of qualified kids.
What we like about Blocks is they really know where the need is.
This program ensures that their dollars come 100% into these kids for their tuition assistance.
If you are able, Blocks makes the EITC piece go very quickly and very smoothly.
Turn your PA state tax liability into need-based scholarships and receive a 90% tax credit.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Power Hour, Big Sales National Football Show, Week 9 of the NFL resetting here. I think that statistic about the Eagles having the best record for 27 consecutive weeks is one of the most incredible things that I've seen in a league that loves to have parity. I mean, they do not believe in dynasties. They do not believe in any of that. And coming off a Super Bowl, they've been able to keep the momentum going where they've won 22 of 26 ball games. I mean, usually I say that means nothing, but it doesn't mean nothing. It means you're consistent as hell. You show up every day. You know how to win. To me, this is really about not going down as the Braves of the Greg Maddux and John Smoltz era, where you win one Super Bowl and you were a dominant team in the National League East and you won all those games, but you couldn't get over the hump. That 17 team has nothing to do, theoretically, with the Jalen Hurts-led 2022-23 team. You know what's crazy? The 17 team and the 18 team are not better than the 22-23 team. But the 17 and 18 team have what? They got a validation sticker. You don't. So that has to be, think about the pressure that is, that you add to that. Because this, there's only one thing that's stopping people from crowning you on a great run here. The Chiefs have already been crowned. They've got 2 Super Bowls, 5 straight AFC titles or title appearances that they've been to. Their dynasty's validated. Yours is not. Okay? Yours is not. You're kind of like a bridesmaid. You got to get there. That's a lot of pressure. Boy, I'll tell you this, like I said, do you want to go down as Andy Reid? No disrespect to Andy Reid, but that was a decade in some of missed opportunities. Will we not go there? Right? All that winning he had, all those appearances, all those opportunities, he swung and missed. Do you want to go through another one of those? Tell me something this too. It's not a dynasty. I would ask you this. Do you think that Andy Reid run was successful? Was that a successful run? Because you can compare it to what you're doing now. Would you consider that a success the last 2 years, what you're doing? Winner of 22 of 26. And it's kind of like at the beginning of what Reid did with those 5 straight NFC title appearances. Was Andy Reid's run a success or failure? See how you look. It's either one or the other. There's no middle ground. It's one or the other. Incomplete run, you're hedging. Leo doesn't want to see when he goes incomplete run, he doesn't want to answer it. It's still pending. You don't want to answer it. Steve answers it. No. See, sports is brutal. Win, lose. There's no I almost won the election. Or votes didn't count. Win, lose. Doug had the only real run here. I don't think Doug had a run. I think Doug had 3 seasons. I wouldn't call that a run. Okay? I would call that almost a fluke. Because the next year, what happened? Then the year after, and then 2 years, you were a 4-win team. You caught lightning in a bottle. This isn't a fluke. Do you understand that this is more consistent than what that 7? This actually validates the point that Doug's team was a fluke. That worked out perfectly. And by the way, you had everything lined up and you beat the GOAT. The championship is not a hollow. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's not a run. That's a moment. Because 3 years later, he had 4 wins. This thing's not trending to 4 wins in 2 years from now. Okay? This is not trending that way. Yeah, that 17 team is like hitting the lottery. Hey, it was a good, it was nice, but it's not what you're saying. This is dominating. You know, and what I mean by, you're going to go, well, Sills, you really think they're dominating this year? You're dominating the one-loss column. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. The Eagles aren't dominating games. Funny, but they're dominating the one-loss column. What would you rather have? Hey, Philly fan, dead on. You got to validate this stuff. This is a better run than what Doug went through. And even with the Super Bowl, because that was more of a moment and a fluke. This is consistency. You're coming off a Super Bowl where most teams aren't even in the picture. Look at the Bucs and the Rams after the Super Bowl win. They were horseshit. And this team is winning in spite of some of the deficiencies. They're actually more prepared right now than they were even a year ago for the miscues, the missed tackles, the drop passes to overcome them. They're like game ready. And he was a standard prior to us winning Super Bowl 17. Finishing second is not a standard. That's not a standard. The D always plays better with Morrow in the game. Masked, absolutely. We're going to get to the game here in a minute. We'll do some of the takeaways, then we'll get to week 9 of the NFL. Birds are full of winners. The attitude is contagious. True. Yes. Okay. What happens if Sirianni gets 2? Let's work on 1. This is a better run than the Dougie era. That's why you got to validate it. Because if you don't, it's Andy Reid. So you knocked on the door, but you couldn't open it. Who wants to be in that room? Doug got through the door. This, in my opinion, is the most complete the Eagles have ever been in the history of their franchise. Front office, offense, defense. Coach is suspect to me. Maybe probably one of the only areas. Can't have everything perfect. But this is the best your franchise has ever looked. Not one of Andy Reid's teams could beat the last 2 years in Philly. That 04 team could not beat the 22 or this year's team because you don't have the makeup at quarterback to beat them. Donovan McNabb is not beating Jalen Hurts. Okay? It'd be a hell of a matchup, that 04 team, with the 22 or 20, probably the 22 team. That 22 team beats them. Okay? They beat them. Beat Chiefs will damper their chance to see them in the Super Bowl. Okay. I don't know what kind of victory that is, but okay. All right. A little bit more on the takeaways from the game on Sunday. I really love the way they opened that game with that 3 and out on defense. I thought that was going to be a trend throughout the game. And boy, I'll tell you something. You really put fear in the Cowboys right out of the gate when the Cowboys and Dak went 3 and out. Then you get the ball and you drive it right down their faces. And you're looking like this. If you're a Cowboy fan, you're panicking a tad bit, but they didn't on the sidelines. Dak kept his water. He kept his water in this game. He did a nice job until the end in the fourth. You know, it's funny about Dak. Dak can't keep that going for 60 minutes. Jalen can. That's the difference. Jalen is a more focused player than Dak. I think that comes down to it. I think Tom Brady's a more focused player than Aaron Rodgers. When you're a quarterback in the NFL, you've got to have laser beam focus, and you can never look up. How many W's we need to get home field, you think? Between 12 and 13. What you're hoping for is Detroit losing. You want Detroit to lose a couple. LJ, then 12 will be enough. You see, look, you want to beat Dallas again. You want to beat San Francisco. And you're hoping for a couple more losses over on the Detroit side. You'll host home field because you'll have a better NFC record than what the get this, that Kansas City Chiefs win that the Lions have won't matter when it comes to head-to-head in the NFC. So whether you lose or you win the AFC game against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City, that will have no bearing on home field, except for the one-loss total. But as a they go one-loss total, then they go conference record, then they go division record. That's how they go down. Then they do points scored, points against. Those are the tiebreakers. Hearing the media has me mad. Cowboys did this, the refs this, the calls that. What was the final score? Absolutely. Hey, on. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I turned it on this morning. I could have swore that the Philadelphia Eagles lost this football game. I could have swore they lost. Hey, how do you think Dak played was one of the topics. Or here's the other one. The Cowboys are still better than Philly. And I'm like this. Seriously, I compared them to those election deniers. And I'm like, I go, wait a minute. See, I believe in scoreboard. Life, sports, I was raised with a scoreboard. There's winners and losers, and you accept the consequences. Those are people that don't want to accept consequences. When you sit there and try to move the yardsticks and you try to move the goalpost, you constantly don't want to live with consequences. I saw that, William. Now, again, you got to remember something, William, about Irvin. At least he has a reason. He's a Cowboy for life. Won 3 Super Bowls with them. You expect his bias to be there, but not the media, guys. You expect his bias. Michael Irvin's not a journalist. Okay, he's an analyst. And he's a homered analyst to boot. Don't you? And one thing is for sure, too. Don't you guys see one thing, William? So you got Tony Romo. You've got Michael Irvin. You got Jason Garrett. You've got Moose Johnson. You've got Troy Aikman tonight. You got Dallas Cowboy guys at almost every single meet. Jimmy Johnson on the Fox desk. You have all these Dallas Cowboy guys in major media chairs. Why? Because the Cowboys will always be covered more than you. It's not hey, don't worry about it. It's really a nothing factor when it comes to winning Super Bowls. It just pisses you off a little because you don't get your justice. Like, get this. Dak Prescott will be talked about more on the job that he did, but yet the result he didn't get in a higher regard than what Hurts did in the game that he won and played efficiently to the tune of, what was it? 130 QBR. No one will look at that and care. They're going to look more at what Dak did. Wow, Dak showed up. Kind of. I don't give you credit for showing up to the test. I do not. Like here, I was telling Tone when we started the show, some of you keep doing this stuff. Dan, Jalen Hurts outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. No, he didn't. No, he did not. Jalen Hurts did not make the important plays when it mattered. On Sunday, Jalen Hurts made the important plays that mattered, and Dak didn't. That's why sometimes you look at statistics and go, Jalen made the more significant plays that kept this team going and heading towards a win than what Dak Prescott did. Dak had better numbers. So what? If we won or lost, I don't care. I want a ring. Okay. Hey, Seals, go ask your Cowboy contact if the Cowboys offense is still laughing. They are laughing. Everything they said panned out. Your secondary slow. Guys were wide open. And, yeah. They had field days on you. Did I miss something? Dallas Cowboys went for 400 yards in total offense on you. 370 something. Did I miss something? Did your corners play well? Your safeties? I must have missed that. Yeah, they were laughing. And everything they said panned out. They look slow. Corners aren't very good. They can't play press. No, Steve, I was asked a question. Are they still laughing? Yeah, they did their job. They did their job. Cowboys chasing moral victories or chasing a ring. There lies the difference, too. I thought both quarterbacks were sensational. Hassan Reddick, I thought he, again, is just coming on. I'll tell you one thing, though, that was evident in that ball game still, is that Reddick, the Cowboys know a little bit of his deficiencies. You know, kind of over-pursued a couple times, missed a couple tackles, but he still gets home. Reed Blankenship was terrible. Just terrible. The O-line, in my opinion, the last 2 months has not played as the best unit in the league. They are not. That is by name alone. Now, that doesn't look like the best O-line in football to me. One of them, but not the best. That does not look. Your quarterback's getting hit a lot. Your quarterback is injured because of contact he's taken in the pocket. What's that tell you? Pass protection's not been up to snuff. You know, it's funny. I always said this too. Isn't it crazy? Hey, Tone, think about this, for instance. In the desire for the Philadelphia Eagles to want to be a passing team, in the end, Hurts is taking more contact than he did a year ago when he was more of an RPO guy and a dual threat guy. Think about that. He's taking more hits and more punishment this year than what he did a year ago when he ran the ball and was a real part of the run game. He's injured earlier and hurt now more as a passer than he is as an RPO guy. Matt goes, no way. Are you not watching? Parsons had a sack and a half on him. They were getting pressure constantly. They almost ended his season. What were you watching? He's been dealing with a knee injury for 4 weeks, according to some longer. What are you watching? You could deny that all you want. But he's taken more punishment this year than he did a year ago. And here's the difference. It's earlier than it was a year ago because wasn't it the last 3 games of the year he got hurt? Now he's at the halfway point. So now he's hurt earlier than he was last year. You think he's making the season at this rate? Do you think Jalen Hurts is making the year at this rate? It looks to me like that offensive line, Lane Johnson's given up a couple sacks this year. Mulata, he had a tough time against Michael Parsons on Sunday. Matt, I hope so too. And Matt, you know what's crazy? You see all the people in here saying, yep, he is. He's never made a full season yet. But you're saying he's going to make a full season this year, and yet he's never. And he's hurt after week 9. Interesting thought process. What gives you that belief? He's smarter? Okay, I could go there. He is getting hit more in the pocket. Remember that thing, Tone, and everyone, that Phil Simms said when it came to open space running? You have more control of contact than you do when you're in the pocket. Like when his knee got rolled up on Sunday, he had no control of that. Just saying. There's a first time for everything. I like your wishful thinking. Let's go there with that. There's a first time for everything. I'm not sure that's a game plan, but hey, when you start to see Marcus Mariota warming up in week 9, I can't think that's a good look. Swift is overrated? I don't think so. I think Swift is not a tough guy in the red zone. I think he's a good player. I like him, actually. I mean, all you could do is hope. Fans are powerless in this regard. Absolutely. You hope he's smart enough. Let me ask you something else here. You know, I never really tied it in because I don't want to. Do you think that brotherly shove is taking its toll on Hurts' body? You think that is also? That's a lot of. Didn't Mahomes get hurt doing that a couple years back? Look at everyone jump on no. So you think of having 4 guys or 3 guys in the middle, including his own guys and guys behind him pushing. And there's over 1,000 pounds of men landing on him 3 or 4 times a game. In a goal line situation like that, you think takes no toll on your body. Have you ever played football before? You think you do that over 17 weeks, 4 times a game? You're talking about how many times did they run the brotherly shove last year? I'm not fishing. I'm asking. Let's do this. I know what playing goal line is in the NFL. I know what playing goal line is. How many brotherly shoves did they run last year? Does anyone know? Is there a number? What do you think they ran? See, 3 a game maybe, right? 3 or 4 a game. So over 10, that's 30. Probably what, around 50, 45 times last year? So you're telling me last year and this year, they run that play 100 times of goal line offense. And you don't think having 1,000 pounds of your own men and yourself in that pile takes its toll on you? 37 times, okay? So let's just say they matched that this year, okay? So 74 times they run that goal line play. Okay, I'm just saying, hey, that's a pretty demanding play. It's a pretty demanding play. Okay? Still, stop. You had a cup of coffee in the NFL. You know what? I haven't told Kean this, and I'm going to have to tell him now. Hey, Kean, I caught a fatal disease and almost died. And I got hurt. So what are you talking about? Do you know anything about my life? I caught meningococcal meningitis, and the preacher came in and called my family and told them he's dying. Did you know that? I was almost read last rites. Did you know that? Did you know that? That I almost died. Because I caught meningococcal meningitis. 79% of the people that catch it die. I caught it when I was with the Cowboys. I got hurt when I was in Tampa. I caught a fatal disease. And that's why I was out of football for 3 years and I had to go to other leagues. No, but I think it's important, Ray. Some people think that I failed on ability. I failed because I almost died. It's all right, Kean. I know you didn't know that. Okay? It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. I did. Hey, real quick, though. You want to hear something crazy? I'm in a hospital bed. I couldn't walk. I was in crutches in a wheelchair for a month. I was in a wheelchair. My wife dumped me. She was my girlfriend. She dumped me out 2-3 times. This is the craziest thing. They used to come in with, those masks and those hazmat suits and everything. I was in a bubble, and I wasn't feeling bad. Guess that the only person in the building that was immune to it was my wife. Everyone looked at her and they went like this. When they walked in, they go, I'm 250 pounds or 290 pounds. I hadn't lost any weight. And I'm eating burritos. Kim had gotten me burritos. And the doctor goes, how come you're in here without a mask? Kim goes, they say I'm immune to it. And everyone in the place goes, you're immune to meningococcal meningitis? And it was like this. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was on crutches I was in a wheelchair for about a month. I couldn't walk. Yeah. I was with the Cowboys when I caught it. Yeah, I got sick as a dog, man, at the end. Dude, they thought really I was like Brian Piccolo and stuff. I mean, my wife had to put me in a car. They had to carry me. And then I was in a wheelchair for 2 months or for a month and a half. Okay. Yeah, I was very fortunate. Very fortunate. They called my aunt and my grandmother. You can Google it. Some people wanted to blame other things. I didn't. That's why my career wasn't long in the league. I almost died. Some don't know. Now you do. Look, back to the numbers here. Thank God you're still here, Sills. Matt, thank you. Hey, Greasy, you seen it, right? Yeah, hey, get this. Let me show you this, Greasy. Just for, God, I hope I didn't delete it. See, Wes Chandler sent me Galen Hall's number because I saw those guys playing in Germany, and we were like the first people to play in Germany, Frankfurt, and we went over there, and Galen Hall gave me a chance to play and get my career back because he was a Gator coach, and he was like this to me. He goes, "How you doing, big fella?" And I'm going like this. I was 26, and I go, "Doing well." He goes, "You all right? You need some time off?" I go, "Nah." So, oh, by the way, here's a picture of Tracy Rocker and myself. I found this too. I think you guys will love this. This is crazy, man. And Galen Hall sent me this. He was really a great coach. And here's a picture of Tracy. And Tracy, of course, you know now, is your D-line coach for the here's a picture when we were in Frankfurt at that stadium. 78's the D-line coach for the Steelers, Carl Dunbar. And here's Tracy. Number 74. Let me move it over more. There's Tracy Rocker, number 74. Right there. He was on that team. And the guy next to me, there's Carl Dunbar, the D-line coach of the Steelers. Yep. So can you imagine that? On my team, 2 coaches are current defensive line coaches. Tracy Rocker was my backup. He had won an Outland Lombardi trophy too. He was a really good ball player, man. He was my backup. Yeah. Galen was on that Joe Paterno staff at the end too when Joe got fired. Big Sil saw the Grim Reaper. I did, man. I saw angels, man, a couple times. I don't think I was waking up. Yep. Fly, God is amazing. He sure is. All right, let's get out of that. I want to look at week 9. I want to go to week 9 here. All right. Some telling things. Monday Night Football, we'll look at Chargers and Jets tonight. Do me a favor, please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
My name is Dr. Bruce Grossinger, and I'm the medical director of Philadelphia PRP and Stem Cell Institute. I'm reaching out to those who suffer from spine and joint pain. We use treatment methods that require no surgery, no scalpel, no drugs.
Running, walking, or whatever your desires are, Dr. Grossinger is where you need to come.
You can benefit from the same PRP and stem cell treatment as Wilbert Montgomery. Call us now at 610-222-5675.
We're here to show you a better way to spend your state income taxes and get the money to where it's needed to most to the thousands of qualified kids.
What we like about Blocks is they really know where the need is.
This program ensures that their dollars come 100% into these kids for their tuition assistance.
If you are able, Blocks makes the EITC piece go very quickly and very smoothly.
Turn your PA state tax liability into need-based scholarships and receive a 90% tax credit.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Somebody just sent me that story. I don't know if I woke up crying and asking for a second chance, but it was pretty scary. I won't lie. Get this, I met my girlfriend. I only met her a month, and she had to carry me to the hospital, did a biopsy right in front of her, cut my hand open. Craziest thing. And we've been together hey, that's why I'm a very loyal person. Okay? And hey, Ray, all good, man. Hey, Keon's all right, man. He didn't know. He just gives me shit. It's all right. It's okay, man. Keon's one of my favorite people in here. We are totally cool. He knows that. Gives me a ton of shit. All right. Week 9. National Football League, man. Really some good stuff in here. Really some great stuff. Chiefs hold off the Dolphins, and they end up beating the Miami Dolphins 21-14. I'll say this to you, man. Okay? I don't buy the Dolphins. Do you? Do you guys buy the Dolphins? Dude, Josh Dobbs is my favorite football story this year. I want 53 dudes like that. That guy's cut out of the Jalen Hurts cloth. He just needs a chance. I've never seen a guy walk in. Hey, get this. For him to have the success, we're going to talk about what he did, but for him to have the success he had, there has to have been some crossover from systems that he has had in the past that they were able to tie in for him to do what he did. I'll tell you something, man. You know, you're kind of looking around like this for a quarterback in Minnesota. You might want to do what they did in St. Louis years ago with Kurt Warner. Maybe he's right there. You know, sometimes your best option's in the room. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's the best options in the room there. So, I mean, I love that kid, man. He is absolutely just smart as, oh my God. I wish Carson Wentz had his intangibles and his smarts and his athleticism, actually, to the boot, because he didn't even know the playbook. He was their last option at quarterback. If he got hurt, the Vikings would have been without quarterbacks. So that probably meant they would have went to a running back like McCaffrey. Yeah, I'm with you. Ray, Miami's not ready. They're just not ready right now, in my opinion. The Browns, they pound a Cardinal team. Watson goes for 219. You know what's funny? I didn't see anything special out of him. The Browns are 5-3. The only thing special about the Browns is their defense. I just don't see anything special out of him. Okay? Their running back QB option, right? He was literally the last option. That's crazy. I love him. The Browns, I don't see anything. Deshaun Watson, I mean, man, give a guy a ton of money. I haven't seen a glimpse of what he was in Houston. Saints hold off the Bears 24-17. Carr 211, 2 touchdowns. They're 5-4. Can I tell you something about David Carr or Derek Carr? He misses so many easy throws. How many easy throws have you seen him like not make this year? I 5-4. I think that's underachieving. I think they're an underachieving football team this year. Jordan Love had a bounce back game. The Rams are going the other way. I thought the Rams would be a playoff team. Not happening. 20-3. Love was good in the ball game. 228 and a touchdown. There's Dobbs, 158, 2 touchdowns. But the way he moved the offense around, not knowing the playbook, the way the team responded to him. You know, can I tell you what that looked like? It looked like Nick Foles. How about this? I'll take that back. It looked like Nick Foles' influence. You know what I mean? Different way of getting there, but that team just, I mean, I can't believe that. And the Vikings are now sitting at 5-4. And you're going like this. Yeah, man, how about that? It's a nice story. The Ravens pounded the Seahawks 37-3. What's that number? I got to show you guys. What's that number? What's that number on Lamar Jackson? Do you know who's leading the NFL in completion percentage? Do you know who's leading the league in completion percentage? Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is leading the National Football League. And I saw that too, Tone. And he's 18-1 versus NFC teams. Dude. Tomorrow, I'm probably giving it away, but Ravens, Eagles, Niners. Hey, let me do this. KC, Baltimore, Jacksonville, Philly, San Francisco, Detroit, okay. If you were making a bet, San Francisco, Kansas City, Jacksonville, Detroit, Baltimore, and Philly, would you take that pool of teams, those 6 teams, or would you take the field? Bengals. Let's put the Bengals in there. So make it 7 teams. Would you take the 17, these 7 teams versus the field to win a Super Bowl? What would you bet? Field or one of these 7 teams? You notice there's no Buffalo in there. Don't we agree that here are the true Power 7? Here are the teams that could win the Super Bowl. San Francisco, Kansas City, Jacksonville, Detroit, Baltimore, Philly, and the Bengals. I don't think there's anybody else. Right? I mean, do I think New Orleans can? No. Do I think Miami can? No. Do I think Pittsburgh can? No. Do I think Cleveland can? No. Do I think the Cowboys can? No. Seattle? No. Now, that's right, Ray. That's right. Ray's right. Right now, because if you get another Dallas Goedert injury, like say Kittle or somebody on another team, or the tight end in Baltimore, okay, you get somebody significantly injured like that, true, it changes the dynamic immensely. But the Ravens look really good, man. There's the Texans. Stroud, 475 touchdowns. They're 4-4. And they beat the Bucs 39-37. I hate to say this, but I can't think Todd Bowles has many more days as head coach of the Buccaneers. Keon goes, did you give up on your boy Allen? I don't know, man. I'm not giving up on my boy Allen. I'm giving up maybe potentially on that Bills team. Bills were one of my teams to make the Super Bowl, but I can't put them legitimately in that 7. Can you? Hey, okay. Hey, watch this. I would like to. Who would you knock out of there? Okay, let's do this. Hey, Keon, can I knock any one of those 7 teams out of there and put my Bills in there? Okay. Or Kelsey out, right? Could you knock any one of these teams out of here? I don't think so. For Buffalo? Not sure. I don't think so. How about the Commanders? 4-5. They beat the Patriots. And the Patriots are now 2-7. 2017. Hey, how about Howe? So let me get this right. Howe goes for 397 versus the Eagles and follows it up with 325 and a touchdown. Sam Howell's the answer in Washington. Sam Howell's the answer. Is he right? I mean, am I right when I say that? Sam Howell's the guy. Does he have the Jags in there? If so, I may knock them out for Buffalo. I do have the Jags. I have the Jags. Right? Colts beat. How about this? Colts beat the Panthers 27-13 or 4-5. Shane Steichen's done a really good job in Indianapolis. I mean, he's done a really good job. I mean, I'm a big fan of what he's done. That's a really nice job of coaching there. That's a super job of coaching. The Raiders, they get a win for the new coach. They beat the Giants 30-6. Raiders are 4-5. The Bengals follow up the win against the 49ers. And they beat the Bills 24-18. Joe Burrow 348-2. They're now 5-3. Isn't it funny? You look at the Bengals right now and you go like this. Shit, they got a record of 5-3, but because the guy was hurt, don't they look like a 7-2 team? Right? When you look at the Bengals, I don't see 5-3. It feels 7-2-ish to me. You know? Like that Ravens team. Seems like they lost to the Colts. You know, that team feels like a one-loss team. Shows you the power of the Eagles and those guys winning ball games like that and how they win. Steelers, they beat the Titans 20-16. Are now 5-3. All right, what do you got today? What do you got tonight? Chargers and Jets. That Jets team's fighting. Tell you this, they beat the Chargers tonight. Am I right? If they beat the Chargers tonight, they'll be 2 games above 500. What if Rodgers gets back and that football team qualifies for the postseason and he's able to play? That whole AFC, you could do this. Baltimore would probably have to play the Jets as the 7th seed, right? And they would have to play Baltimore with Aaron Rodgers. Chargers beat the Jets 23-21. All I say is this. That dude has to do something. That just got that huge contract in Los Angeles. All right, guys. We really appreciate you guys coming aboard with us. Absolutely sensational. Xander, Big Joe, we thank you. How about this going into a bye? You're 8-1. You beat the Cowboys. You got a 2-game lead in the division. And you're sitting there and you're like, it's incredible. It's actually a 2.5 lead. Isn't it, Tone? It's like a 2.5 game lead now until Dallas plays next week. So it's like What if Dallas loses? Then it's 3 games. They're not going to lose to the Giants, but I mean, holy cow. So, hey, everyone, absolutely great. Tone, you were fantastic. Thank you so much. The segment, man, was special, as it always is, Monday through Friday. Don't forget, we'll start our contest up tomorrow as well with our Great Hooters giveaway, 2 to 6, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.